CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Tuesday, May 19th, where we've got a mix of sun and cloud and a bit of wind today. We will tell you the full forecast in just a moment, but right now let's get to the news. And we say good morning to Lisa Best.
Good morning. Thank you. And unpacking that long weekend. And I'm RCMP responding to reports of an explosion in a wooded area over the weekend. Officers called to an area near the 900 block of Terminal Avenue North just after 8 Sunday morning. They suspect the explosion was caused by a faulty e-bike battery. Luckily, no injuries or damage reported. Police say a section of the road was closed for about 2 hours for the ensuing investigation. The fate of Canada's snowbirds will be announced today amid concerns the fleet could be temporarily grounded and plans to upgrade those aging jets.
We need that national pride, and I think the snowbirds are probably the symbol of that.
Defense Minister David McGuinty is set to announce changes at CFB Moose Jaw.
The worry here is that the gap might turn from a year or 2 years into 5.
There are alternatives, but this Liberal government seems to be looking at life through a straw.
The good news here is it appears the government is finally moving towards replacing the snowbirds. But as always, whenever government buys something, especially military, the question is how long will it take?
From Military in the Air, we'll bring you news from the Navy as well. Later this hour, Vice Admiral Angus Topshee, from the head of the Royal Canadian Navy, will be live on CFAX to share more on assuming the expanded role as the now second in command of the Canadian Armed Forces. A surge of Americans searching through genealogical records in the hopes of finding a Canadian ancestor. This in order to claim Canadian citizenship under the recently introduced changes to our Citizenship Act. Miriam Watson from Indianapolis, Indiana, is one of them. She says her grandmother was born in 1921 to Japanese immigrant parents here in BC.
My grandmother's name, it was Asako Ueda. And she was born in New Westminster, British Columbia. From what I understand, my grandmother lived in Canada up until the 1940s, up until World War II.
Watson said she later met an American military officer in Japan, and they settled down in the U.S. But Watson said her grandmother always talked about wanting to return to Canada, which she always considered home. A dozen Canadians were among 500 activists detained by Israel yesterday while on a Gaza-bound flotilla aiming to break Israel's naval blockade, which restricts the movements of goods and people in and out of the region.
The Israeli military boarded the boats wearing tactical gear in broad daylight, unlike previous interceptions, which mostly took place under the cover of night in international waters. Hamas has condemned Israel's attack on the flotilla, calling on the international community to pressure Israel to end its blockade, which has been in place for almost 20 years. The latest action comes just weeks after Israeli forces intercepted about 20 boats from the flotilla near a southern Greek island. It detained 175 activists, including 2 Canadians. Global Affairs Canada knows of the latest interception and has yet to comment. Naira Ahmed, The Canadian Press.
Two teens opening fire at a San Diego mosque yesterday, killing 3 men, then killed themselves a few blocks away in an attack that police say was a hate crime. San Diego Police Chief Scott Wall says, revealing that a nearby landscaper appears to have been targeted during the incident as well.
And in about the same time as they were making entry and searching through the facility, room by room, we received calls of a vehicle a couple blocks away that was shooting at a landscaper. The landscaper is going to be okay, but we are still investigating that scene. It appears he may have been shot in the helmet.
Very lucky man. Apparently the landscaper was reported unharmed after that shooting. The hantavirus isn't the only thing we have to be concerned about, apparently. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention confirming today that at least one person has tested positive for Ebola. This in the Democratic Republic of Congo, but we know how viruses spread. Dr. Peter Stafford, a medical missionary for the age group surge, was exposed while treating patients at a hospital. The group says that Dr. Stephanie Wilder, a toxicologist and emergency medical physician, was explaining how Ebola actually works.
Ebola is different from COVID. It's different from measles. It's something that is spread specifically through direct contact. And it's something that is highly contagious through direct contact.
There's also no approved vaccine or approved therapeutics for this particular strain of Ebola. And the U.S. president says he's holding off on a planned military strike in Iran now at the request of several Gulf allies.
Well, other countries have come to me and they've said we were getting ready to do a very major attack tomorrow. I've put it off for a little while, hopefully maybe forever, but possibly for a little while, because we've had very big discussions with Iran.
We'll let you know what happens next. That's your news to 6:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Do you agree with the federal plan to begin building a new oil pipeline from Alberta to the West Coast sometime after next fall? 73% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time, 6:06.
Hey, thanks, Lisa, and good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the day. Mix us in a cloud, bit blustery. Bit of an unsettled day in the weather, and we'll get you the full forecast in just a moment. Right now, it's 12 degrees. Let's talk sports, and let's talk about the Montreal Canadiens off to the Eastern Conference Final. Alex Newhook scored in overtime as Montreal topped the Buffalo Sabres in Game 7. Newhook also scored the winner in Game 7 of the opening round against Tampa Bay Lightning. Described the moment last night that his shot hit the back of the net for the win in extra time.
A lot of emotion, obviously. It was a war all series long, and for it to end up being Game 7 in overtime, sometimes it just takes one shot, and coming across the line, just thought there was a shot opportunity. So great to see it find the back of the net, and there's no better feeling celebrating with your teammates there after a win like that.
Montreal, the lone Canadian team left in this thing, will face the well-rested Carolina Hurricanes in the NHL's Eastern Conference Final beginning Thursday. Elsewhere in women's hockey, the Ottawa Charge are hoping that they have one more home win in them this season. The Charge had a 2-1 win over the visiting Montreal Victoire in the Professional Women's Hockey League Walter Cup final. Ottawa trails the best of 5 series 2-1 with Game 4 tomorrow in Ottawa. A 5th game, if necessary, will be played Saturday in Montreal. Team Canada leading Group B with 3 regulation wins at the World Men's Hockey Championship in Switzerland has today and tomorrow off before meeting Norway on Thursday. Canada defeated Denmark 5-1 yesterday despite entering the final period with a scoreless tie. The visiting Toronto Blue Jays in baseball will be aiming to level their 4-game series with the New York Yankees tonight when they sent right-hander Dylan Cease to the mound. The Jays took a 5-3 lead into the 7th inning yesterday in the opener, but 2 home runs from the Yankees helped them nab a 7-6 win after that. And over to basketball quickly. The New York Knicks host the Cleveland Cavaliers in tonight's opening game of the NBA's Best of 7 Eastern Conference Finals. Last night, the San Antonio Spurs opened the Western Conference Finals with a 122-115 double overtime victory over the host Oklahoma City Thunder. That's the sports to 6:09. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It is 6:10 here on this Tuesday morning. Let's take a look. The roads are looking pretty typical. No crashes, no accidents, no volume delays to speak of at this early morning hour, but you can let us know if there's any problems facing you at 71010. Give us a text if you see something. We have at BC Ferries a fairly busy start to the day. There was a one sail wait for the 6 o'clock sailing that just sailed about 11 minutes ago. The 7 is next. It is a possible sailing wait with 15% of the vehicle deck space spoken for at this time. In the weather forecast, we have a mix of sun and cloud today. It's going to be a bit windy off the water, and those winds will start to pick up into the afternoon. That's where we'll see the windier part of the day. Highs of 16 degrees, but nothing too crazy, just a little unsettled, but otherwise a high of 16 degrees and maybe some sunny periods and that wind. Let's look ahead. Tonight, partly cloudy, still windy, lows down to 10. Tomorrow, mostly sunny day, highs of 21 degrees. And then we kind of settle into that for a few days. We're going to be around about 20 degrees for the rest of the week. We'll see sunshine and clouds alternating over the course of the week, but otherwise staying fairly stable. Once we hit the weekend, our long-range forecast suggests that by the end of the weekend, sort of on Sunday, that stable pattern might turn into some rain, but it could stay, again, sunny with the odd cloud, and about 20 degrees is a high right through until almost the end of the weekend. It looks like we're kind of hitting some stable weather after today. But right now, let's tell you what the temperatures are. We are downtown at 12 degrees, and the official temperature at the airport is also 12 degrees. Over to business news. We're awaiting the opening bells for North American stock markets. While we do, let's take a look at how things closed off last time with Rob Westgate.
Bay Street took a tumble before the holiday weekend, dragged lower by concerns over growing inflation and spiking global oil prices. Toronto's S&P TSX lost 335 points, closing at 33,833. Meanwhile, in New York, the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 537 points, while the Nasdaq fell 410. Overseas this morning, Asian markets were mixed for the most part, with Japan's Nikkei finishing down 265 points. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong, ahead of closing, was up over 100. The New Brunswick government says it's unveiling an investment in new amphibious aircraft this morning, which could help with the wildfire season. Canada's defense minister is set to make an announcement today at the home base of the Canadian Forces Snowbirds team. And yesterday, the U.S. put a nearly 3% tariff on most fresh Canadian mushrooms. As for the loonie, it's trading this morning at 72.72 cents U.S. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Rob Westgate.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Tuesday. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making CFAX a part of your morning. And we hope you had a wonderful long weekend, if you are just kind of getting back into it today, like so many of us are. Lisa, how was your long weekend?
It was good. It was busy.
Yeah?
There was a lot of people on the road.
Were you motorcycle riding?
We were motorcycle riding.
I didn't know that. I just took a guess, and I figured I had about a 90% chance of being correct that a motorcycle somehow was a part of your weekend.
Yeah, well, we had our traffic course on. But there was a lot going on. The Distinguished Gentleman's Ride was on.
How was that?
As you know, they had a record amount of people show up.
Really?
Dapper dressed, too. Really good dressed. A lot of people in suits, in caps. Fedoras were out. It was really cool to see. So if you check out the photos online, but they had 150 people turn out, which was a record. They had, I think as of Thursday, they had 130 signed up. So a lot of last minute entries because they knew the weather was going to be fine on Sunday too. And they ended up raising $46,000 locally for men's health initiatives. So as you know, the wider scope is this event is 109 countries now. I think it started in Australia years ago. And so it's well established. It's taken a few years, but very well established here on the island. And a really great fundraiser, a great initiative too, because I saw so many suits, and it's just so strange to see on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Helmets, yeah, but suits. It's like, wow, you really dressed up for your ride.
Well, I'm glad it went well. Good to circle back to that because it was nice to talk to. It was Alan from the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride last week, right? Yeah, he came on and told us about that.
So he sent me an update, and they're very pleased with the results. And thanks to everyone who turned out. And if you want to see photos, of course, the Facebook and other socials are peppered with well-dressed men and women.
Excellent. 6:15, what's happening in the headlines? What's going on, Lisa?
Another popular area last weekend, that long-awaited crossing and trail officially opening in Souk, the Little River Trail linking the Sun River neighborhood, local schools, and Souk town core through about 600 meters forested trail, providing an alternate to a 4-kilometer highway route. The trail providing routes for walking, recreating, and everyday travel. Well, of course, offering you access to natural settings along the creek. So you haven't checked it out, you might want to. In Kamloops, tragedy, possibly. RCMP say a woman is presumed to have drowned after the vehicle she was driving plunged in the North Thompson River on Sunday. A statement from police says the vehicle left the road near Schubert Drive and Birch Avenue around 6 and plunged into the waterway. A passenger in the vehicle was rescued by 3 bystanders who jumped in to help, but they lost sight of the 24-year-old driver as she was carried further downriver. Police say search and rescue teams have been scouring the area, but to this point, they have been unable to find her. And in Vancouver, police are investigating a fire outside a strip club there as possible arson. Police say they received calls about a boat on fire parked on a trailer that was parked outside the Gallery Show Lounge. Sunday around 12:30 a.m., firefighters snuffed out the blaze, but there were reports of no injuries. Luckily, last month, the club's owner actually petitioned the BC Supreme Court to have their license restored since the provincial regulator's decision was upheld, citing concerns about the number of times that police have been called to that business. And that is your news to 6:17.
Thank you, Lisa. Coming up next, we are going to be speaking to somebody we know quite well here from CFB Esquimalt, Vice Admiral Angus Topshee. He used to be the commander of the Canadian Pacific Fleet based here. Then he was commander of Maritime Forces Pacific. And now, Vice Admiral Angus Topshee is taking on a new role as second in command of the entire Canadian Armed Forces. We're going to talk to him about this new role and also how we're seeing the Canadian Armed Forces being kind of reshaped and reinvigorated right now. We're going to get into all of that in just a moment after traffic and weather. Well, good morning. It is 6:19. Let's take a look at CFAX 1070 traffic and weather, where it's fairly easy going out there right now. No crashes, no accidents, no volume delays to speak of at this time, but you can text me at 71010 if you see a problem out there. If you go to the BC Ferries, 7 o'clock sailing now 90% full for the vehicle deck space. I'm going to call it a possible sailing weight at 7, and we did see the 6 o'clock sailing fill up and become a sailing weight when it left earlier this morning. For the weather, it is going to be a blustery kind of day, but mix of sun and cloud and a high of about 16 degrees, so pleasant. Just a little bit of wind if you're by the Wandafuka Strait. Partly cloudy tonight, lows down to 10, still a bit breezy. Tomorrow, we settle into a mainly sunny day. with a high of about 21 degrees. And we're kind of sitting there for the rest of the week after we kind of get into that. Just sort of a much more stable period of sunshine mixed with clouds sometimes, and temperatures around about 20 degrees is what we're going to see from Tuesday right through until the weekend.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Royal Canadian Navy Head Vice Admiral Angus Topshee taking on a new role as the second in command of the Canadian Armed Forces. And he's on the line with us right now to share a bit of the story and learn more about what it means for him and what also is happening with the Canadian Armed Forces right now. So, sir, welcome. How are you doing today?
Oh, pretty good, thanks. It's a beautiful morning here in Ottawa.
Great to get you here. I already have a text message at 107010 saying, say hi to my old captain for me from Mike. I'm sure you've had a lot of Mikes with you, but one of them says hi.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's wonderful to connect with old shipmates at every opportunity.
Well, and I think that's just an example of why this is sort of a cool conversation. I mean, you spent a lot of time here at CFB Esquimalt in various roles, and we've been kind of following your career just from that, and now here you are with this new thing. But I guess let's just sort of place you for a second. Talk about, for those who don't know, sort of what you've been doing through to kind of get to this point.
Yeah, so since I left the coast back in 2022, I've been in command of the Royal Canadian Navy. Really proud to command an outstanding organization like this. And in that time, we've managed to progress our recapitalization. We've got the River-class destroyer about to have the keel laying of the first ship in a couple of weeks. Sounds like the government's ready to make a decision on submarines. And we're recruiting the sailors that we need for the future and reorganizing our training system to make sure that we can get them the skill sets they need to deliver for Canada.
So this new role, second in command of the Canadian Armed Forces, talk us through what that means and what that role entails.
Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting role at this point of view with the sort of massive investment government has made in the Canadian Armed Forces. My job will be to support the Chief of the Defence Staff and the Deputy Minister in making sure that we deliver on that commitment, that we are able to procure all of the equipment that Canada needs, build the systems behind that to make sure that as we take delivery of that equipment, the personnel are there, the information technology support's there, the infrastructure's there. So it's really to bring cohesion to the entire effort.
Now, you mentioned some of that expanded effort to build up Canada's armed forces already. And you talked about some of the Navy bits of it. You've got those River-class destroyers. They're starting to be built. A submarine purchase could be coming, either Germany or South Korea. Those two countries with shipbuilding capabilities are, I guess, the final choices. A decision will be made soon. Talk a bit more about the Navy, I guess. Maybe we should start there. And how much of this we're expected to see here on the Pacific Coast at CFB Esquimalt or beyond?
Yeah, so the first thing CFB Esquimalt will see after a submarine decision is made is the start of some construction, most likely on the Colwood side of the harbor over by what we call D Jetty, just by Fort Rod Hill and Fisgard Lighthouse. And that's where we're going to build a purpose-built submarine maintenance facility to make sure that as we take delivery of those new submarines, we're able to maintain them and keep them in service.
Now, I'm trying to remember when the current submarines we have, the base for them was here on the West Coast. Was that correct? Or at some point it was, wasn't it? Where like this was where a lot of the facilities for those submarines were based.
That's right. So when Babcock won the contract for Victoria-class in-service support, they decided to do their maintenance there. And so that's why we've got HMCS Victoria across at the Esquimalt Grieving Dock undergoing its refit. And Babcock does all of that long-term maintenance in Esquimalt Harbor.
Gotcha. So it'd be kind of a continuation of what we've already been seeing, where the submarines kind of have a bit of gravity here on the West Coast. This is something we'll see continued.
That's right, with an even larger fleet. So we're anticipating that we'll have 6 submarines based in Esquimalt, representing the sort of force that we need to make sure that we can protect Canada's waters, protect the access to the Arctic from the Pacific, and make sure that we do what we need to do today to keep Canada and Canadians safe. And then
you mentioned the River-class destroyers. Eventually, those are taking over from the Halifax frigates, correct?
That's right, and some of the old Iroquois-class destroyers that we did mentioned a few years ago. So we're looking at least 7 of those based out on the West Coast as well.
And where's that at? How long until we start to see those ships?
Yeah, so it's a bit longer than we'd like. So the first of the class, HMCS Fraser, will be probably launched early in the 2030s. It's going to be quite a period of test and trials to make sure that we're taking some pretty advanced weapon systems into service with there. So I would expect that sometime in 2034 or so, you'd see the first one making its way out to the West Coast.
What else can we see at CFB Esquimalt in this new kind of push to build up Canada's armed forces that we're seeing out of this current government?
So you can expect some new infrastructure, some more housing for our sailors, some more training facilities, a new fleet school to make sure that we're training people in modern buildings that built to modern standards. We're also hoping to renew and expand the fleet of Orca training vessels that we've got now with something a little bit more capable, but delivering the same sort of training effect. And then hopefully some Continental Defense corvettes, sort of a class of ship that's designed to fill the gap between the River-class destroyer and the non-combatant Harry de Wolf class. And then next year, you will see the arrival of the first joint sport ship, HMCS Protector, will be coming across to Esquimalt Harbor.
Oh, very good, because we've been using the kind of modified containers or cargo ships, right, in the interim, but this will be the first purpose-built one coming back online?
That's right. And then followed not long after that will be HMCS Preserver, the second in class, and it will also spend a bit of time in Victoria, making sure it's fully ready to go before it transfers around to the East Coast.
Oh, lots happening. And I've been kind of focused in on the Navy because, well, why wouldn't I here on the coast in Victoria with the CFB Esquimalt literally within view of where I'm broadcasting from right now. But let's talk a bit more because, of course, you're taking on this new role, second in command of the entire Canadian Armed Forces. Talk about how the rest of it is transforming and where you see us going.
Yeah, so the Air Force is undergoing a modernization, a recapitalization of just about every major fleet of aircraft that they've got. So there's a lot of work that goes into that, so including all the infrastructure for support, and then a lot of work to make sure that we've got the facilities in the high north that we need to support, the protection of Canadian sovereignty over the Arctic. For the Army, they're undertaking a massive Army modernization, probably the most significant reform of the Army since unification in 1968. And that's looking to make sure that we've not only got the forces in the Army that we need to defend Canada and respond to the needs of Canadians, but that we've got a force that we can deploy overseas to make a difference when and where needed.
What about recruitment? Oh, there's been such a huge recruitment push with the Canadian Forces lately. How is that going, and do you expect us to be able to meet that demand? Do you think there are enough Canadians willing to sign up?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, last year we had a really good year for recruiting. We recruited more Canadians into the Canadian Armed Forces than we have any time since the turn of the century. Every indication is that as we actually increase that number further this year, that we'll continue to meet our targets. The Army, Navy, and Air Force, all three of us are working hard to make sure that we've got the training system necessary to turn those recruits into experienced soldiers, sailors, and aviators. That takes a bit of time, but we're really making sure that we've streamlined that training. And it's interesting, when you really look at it, there's ways to deliver the same effective training in a shorter period of time by using more modern training equipment, by really leveraging some of the outstanding soldiers, sailors, and aviators we have as instructors, and by expanding the scale of our schools. So pretty confident that while we're not out of the woods yet on the personnel front, it's starting to look pretty good.
Well, we've got on the line with us right now Vice Admiral Angus Topshee. We know him well from his time here at CFB Esquimalt. Now he is taking on a new role, second in command of the Canadian Armed Forces, and we're right at a time. But any final message to the folks here on the coast before we let you go?
I just appreciate the ongoing interest in the Canadian Armed Forces. We are determined to make sure that we take advantage of this investment to benefit all Canadians by growing Canadian defense industry at the same time. We grow the Canadian Armed Forces capacities that we need to protect Canada in a pretty difficult and interesting moment of time.
Much appreciated. Good luck.
All right. Thanks very much.
CFAX 1070, 6:30 news coming up next.
The CFAX 1070 Summer of Rock. All right. Win a trip to Vancouver and catch a concert from the Sax Point Pub Summer of Rock lineup. Listen to CFAX from 6 till 6.
When you hear a clip from our Artist of the Week,
text ROCK to 71010 with your first name
to win that concert.
You'll fly with Helijet and stay at the Rosedale on Robson Suite Hotel. Brought to you by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt.
Stream us on the iHeartRadio app.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 6:31 on Tuesday, May the 19th. It's starting off cloudy, but we could see a bit of sunshine. We could also see a bit of wind today as we get into it. Right now, 12 degrees. A full forecast to come, but right now the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thanks, Ryan, and good morning. Stats Canada says higher gas prices, mainly driven by the war in Iran, pushed the annual rate of inflation up to 2.8% in the month of April.
The cost of gasoline was 28.6% higher year over year in April as conflict in the Middle East disrupted global oil shipments. But that wasn't the only factor. Gas stations switched to costlier summer blends, and the removal of the consumer carbon price a year earlier skewed the annual price comparison higher. StatCan says falling prices for travel tours and a slowdown in rent inflation offset a jump in energy prices last month. Food inflation also cooled to 3.5% in April as grocery items like chicken, coffee, and tea saw their pace of price increases slow. Michelle Zedekian, the Canadian Press.
Defence Minister Dave McGuinty set to make an announcement today at the home base of the Canadian Forces Snowbirds team in Saskatchewan.
It comes amid speculation about the future of the aerial acrobatic squadron who have performed at thousands of air shows. Recently, during question period, David McGuinty said the team's aircraft fleet is approaching the end of its life, but the Snowbirds would continue air demonstrations as long as the planes remain safe. He noted Canadians can rest assured that they will be able to enjoy the iconic snowbird formation for generations to come. Naira Ahmed, the Canadian Press.
To northern Alberta now, where RCMP investigating a deadly glider crash.
Corporal Matthew Howell says police responded to the crash in Lamont County, northeast of Edmonton, shortly after 3 p.m. local time on Monday. He says one person was declared dead at the scene. Police are not releasing details about the pilot because Howell says next of kin had not yet been notified. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada says in a statement that the accident involved a privately registered Schleicher ASW-20. The TSB says it is deploying a team of investigators. David Augustine, the Canadian Press.
A surge of Americans searching through records in hopes of finding a Canadian ancestor. This to claim Canadian citizenship under the recently introduced changes to the Citizenship Law Act. Aaliyah Larkin from the San Francisco Bay Area says that as a Cajun who grew up in southern Louisiana, the implementation of Bill C-3 could restore some of the dignity stripped from her ancestors.
Even if I never moved to Canada, I think my children might. But even if I never move there, I will just be proud to be Canadian.
Bill C-3 took effect in December and has removed the so-called first-generation limit for people born or adopted outside Canada to a Canadian citizen. That means citizenship which is passed down automatically through generations of descendants subsequently born outside of our country. And the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention confirming at least one American has tested positive for Ebola in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Dr. Peter Stafford, a medical missionary with the aid organization SURGE, was exposed while treating patients at a hospital. Dr. Stephanie Widmer, a toxicologist and emergency medical physician, says this latest outbreak is being monitored.
The World Health Organization has recognized this outbreak of Ebola in Africa, and what we're looking at are numbers of potentially over 300 cases and potentially around 80 deaths that have been linked to this outbreak.
Ebola is spread person to person. There's no approved vaccine or approved therapeutics at this point for this particular strain of Ebola. And that's your news to 6:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning, we're asking if you agree with the federal plan to build a new oil pipeline from Alberta to the West Coast starting next fall. 73% saying yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time is 6:37. I'm ahead of myself here.
Yeah, don't get too far
Slow
ahead.
down.
Gotta drink that coffee first before we get to that part of the day. And we've also got to take a look at the weather quickly. It's cloudy with a bit of a windy start to the day. We might get into a mix of sun and cloud a little later, but still a bit blustery. That's kind of what you can expect as you head into this Tuesday. Full forecast ahead. Right now, it's time for that sports, and we'll talk about the Montreal Canadiens off to the Eastern Conference Final. Alex Newhook scored in overtime as Montreal topped the Buffalo Sabres in Game 7. Canadiens captain Nick Suzuki reflecting on the moment at the end of the game where it all came together.
It's a crazy feeling, a lot of emotion. Obviously, it was a war all series long, and for it to end up being Game 7 in overtime, sometimes it just takes one shot, and coming across the line, you just thought, there was a shot opportunity. So great to see it find the back of the net, and there's no better feeling celebrating with your teammates there after a win like that.
So now Montreal will face a well-rested Carolina Hurricanes in the NHL's Eastern Conference Final, which will begin on Thursday. For baseball, Toronto Blue Jays dropped the first of a 4-game set against New York last night. A 4-run 7th inning from the Yankees saw them make a comeback and hold on despite the Jays bringing their best hitters to the plate in the 9th.
And now a modern-day Yankee killer, Vlad Guerrero Jr. steps up. Runners on first and second. Blue Jays down by 1. 2 men out here in the 9th inning. Right to Jazz Chisholm. Gets the hop. Fires the first. And the Yankees hold on. And you all may exhale.
Well, the next game of that series, Game 2, goes tonight with Jays ace Dylan Cease on the mound. That's your CFAX 1070 Sports at 6:39. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. We've now hit a 1 sail wait at BC Ferries. We kind of thought that was coming. 7 o'clock is now full. The 8 o'clock is already 90% full. Mostly that was reservations that pre-existed before. So just a busy day. I think a lot of people are heading home after a long weekend or whatever's going on. Busy day at BC Ferries, be warned. Now on the roads, no crashes or accidents right now. We're starting to see some volume delays pick up, but here's a thing to focus in on. Some more construction work on this is kind of Cook Street for paving again. They continue to be doing this work. So from today, and then this is going to last for like a week or so from here, they've reduced it down to 2 lanes. Two-way traffic is maintained, but it's kind of squeezed in, and there'll be the odd intermittent closure. This is Cook at Finlayson. Finlayson is also closed eastbound at Quadra, so you can't get in towards Cook Street.
Wow.
So there's.
I need a map at this point.
I'm trying to explain it.
I know. I can see you're struggling with.
How do I explain this?
How do you get from A to B?
So Cook Street at Finlayson.
Right.
The Cook Street's going to be all squeezed up, and they're going to be doing paving. There's the short story. That's better. That's that. Is that better?
Sure.
Paving on Cook Street around about Finlayson.
No, but yes.
Yeah, I think I'm making it make sense now.
Cook Street between Hillside and Bay has been a bit of a lot of nonsense, actually from Maplewood to Bay.
But this is now from, up a bit.
Good.
It's a little further north from there.
Yay.
I guess they're just doing another stretch.
Okay.
So Sorry, that took a bit.
No, that's all right. You know what? If you take time to unpack it and we understand it, we're okay with that.
Unpacking the
Because
paving.
every time you get out there, it's something new.
Yeah, that's the new thing. Because I was so used to just like Hillside to Bay. That was but now they've moved up.
You got
All right.
comfortable.
Yeah. Okay, so what's going on with the business news? We're still awaiting the first results from today with the opening bells going. But I can tell you how things closed off before the long weekend. Bay Street tumbled before the long weekend, dragged lower by concerns over growing inflation and spiking global oil prices. The S&P TSX lost 435 points, closing on Friday at 33,833. And just as the markets are opening today, we're of course hearing that there's inflation news. Inflation has risen to 2.8% in April thanks to higher gas prices from Statistics Canada. That's that information. So we'll see how that plays into things as we get those results a little later this morning.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, what did you think of the new Victoria Day Parade route? It, of course, went yesterday. Tons of people participating. In fact, the numbers of people kind of in the parade, I'm not talking about watching the parade, but in the parade, there was like over 4,000 people.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, between the people on the floats or marching in the bands or whatever. There was over 4,000 people, including some stuff that spilled over from some of the canceled parades in the region.
That's good.
You know how the Oak Bay Tea Party called off their parade? Well,
and the Esquimalt.
Yeah, but in the Oak Bay Tea Party one, there was a Special Olympics torch run that was going to happen at the Oak Bay Tea Party.
Okay.
Couldn't,
in the
obviously,
run,
because the parade was off. So that was part of yesterday's Victoria Day Parade as an example of just some of the stuff that was going on. And they had 88 entries, the floats or dance groups or whatever.
Nice.
So big old parade down this new route from the legislature down Wharf Street, Johnson, up towards the Centennial. What did you think? Did the new parade route work for you? I would love to hear at 7-10-10 what you thought about it.
That's fair.
Yeah. But that one yesterday, congratulations to everybody who made it work. I know it was a lot of effort to try to change things for the organizers.
There was, and sometimes necessary changes can be okay as well. I think the main thing is that it still happens for people. It's been going on for so long, and there's some parades, I mean, they're all crucial, I think, but if we have to narrow it down, there's some parades that are real hallmarks for us, and I would say that's one of them.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
And same with runs. We have one coming up this weekend.
Yes.
That is hallmark.
Yeah, this was the weekend of the Victoria Day Parade. Next weekend is the weekend of the Oak Bay Half Marathon. That's like Sunday.
Well, it's a few days away now. Today's Tuesday.
I know.
Rushing towards it. How are you feeling? Are you feeling strong?
Oh, yes, I will be participating. For those, I mean, I'm sure everybody knows by now because we talk about it all the time.
Maybe, but I always like to, hey, look, I can't run. You and Johnny do the running.
Yeah.
I will cheer you on. I always appreciate people who can do things I can't do, and there's quite a bit of that. It's a long list, so I appreciate it. I cheer you on.
I'm feeling good. I did my last big practice run this weekend.
Okay. How far did you go?
Well, I did. See, here's the problem. I only did about 16 and a half kilometers. And the full thing is 21.1 kilometers.
So you need a bit of adrenaline to get you through it?
I'm hoping for adrenaline to get me those last 5 that I haven't quite hit yet in my training. But I did the TC 10K this year, and that was kind of my big focus. So this half marathon, I sort of just tacked on to the end without it being the big focus. So I'm feeling a little underprepared, but I felt great when I went out on the weekend. So feeling good that I'll at least do it.
We'll have a rest area for you set up in the final leg.
Yeah. If I'm looking really pained as I pass by, maybe I should have had a few more training runs.
Ryan looks a little gray.
Yeah, what's going on there? It's 6:45, but getting ready for that big event in Oak Bay this weekend. And what's happening with the headlines, Lisa?
Numbers. Stats Canada says the annual inflation pace rose to 2.8% in April amid higher gas prices from the Iran war. Currently, gas prices still holding pat for a regular liter at around $2.14.9, but of course, we've seen that fluctuate quite a bit. Economists had broadly expected inflation to top 3% in the month from 2.4% in April, so we're just a smidge down from what they expected, which is good news. Changes to Canada's Citizenship Act have led to a surge of U.S. citizens combing through records dating back hundreds of years. They're all hoping to find a relative that might help them become a Canadian. Recently introduced legal challenges remove the so-called first-generation limit on citizenship for those born or adopted outside Canada to a Canadian citizen. That led to a wave of people. It suggested means citizenship could be passed down automatically through generations of descendants subsequently born outside Canada. The federal government says distant ancestry doesn't automatically make you eligible. And the big topic of the moment this year at the Cannes Film Festival in France is artificial intelligence. It's not a far cry. The technology's potential to remake the movie industry, both good and bad columns, has been an ongoing debate since the festival opened. Meta's AI tools were used to produce one of this year's festival entries from Steven Soderbergh. John Lennon, The Last Interview, has drawn scorn for using Meta AI programs to create surreal graphics, but Soderbergh believes it's time for this kind of experimentation. And that is your headline news to 647.
Another thing that'll be happening this weekend is some heavy metal music in support of CFAX Santa's Anonymous. This is the Metal for Munchkins events that have actually become a bit of a thing.
That's cool.
This isn't just a one-off. We now regularly have heavy metal events for CFAX Santa's Anonymous.
Nice.
And this Friday at the Phoenix Bar in Saanich, there's going to be another one of these. All the proceeds going to support CFAX Santa's Anonymous and the organizer, Royal. I love Royal.
Mm-hmm.
He joins us from time to time to talk about these things, and he's going to be up next to talk about this event, but also remind us why this is a thing. Why are we doing Metal for Munchkins? That's next.
It's a great name.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Join Capital Bike for Spring Go By Bike Week, May 30th to June 5th. Register and find celebration stations at gobybikebc.ca. Sign up for the Walk for Alzheimer's Sunday, May 31st at Fisherman's Wharf. More info at walkforalzheimers.ca.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It is 6:50. Texter at 71010 says it's 11.5 degrees in balmy Mill Bay this morning. Have a great day. Thank you for checking in with the temperature in Mill Bay. Yeah, that seems to be roughly where we're at across the region. Sort of 12-ish degrees is where we're sitting. We will be heading in towards a day that's dry. We've got a mix of sun and cloud for the most part. A little wind, though, but blustery. Kind of unsettled feeling today. Highs of 16 degrees. And then beyond that, we're going to settle into a sunnier week with clouds kind of coming and going, and we've got temperatures around about 20 degrees as a high come tomorrow, and then for the rest of the week, even into the weekend. The very end of the weekend, sort of maybe Sunday, later in the day into Monday, that's where things will shift, and we might get into some rain, but a good stable few days of mostly sunny skies, and 20-degree temperatures is ahead of us after today. Now let's take a look at the roads. No crashes, no accidents, just new paving work I mentioned. There's been all kinds of paving on Cook Street. It's kind of up closer to Finlayson as of this week. They will still have two-way traffic, but it's going to be restricted with occasional closures. That's kicking in today. And for BC Ferries, it's a one-sail wait. 7 o'clock is full. The 8 o'clock is almost full.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, if you are a heavy metal fan and a CFAX Santa's Anonymous fan, believe it or not, there is an event that is perfectly made for you because Metal for Munchkins is happening. It's their Metal for Munchkins Spring Fling this Friday at the Phoenix Bar. All proceeds going to support CFAX Santa's Anonymous, and the organizer, Royal Savoie, has all the details you could need, and he's on the line with us right now. How you doing?
Morning, Ryan. Thanks for having me on, man.
Great to get you here. These are cool. We've been doing these a few times, but for those who don't know, what is the Metal for Munchkins all about?
Well, Metal for Munchkins, this is our fourth one, so the second spring one. We did done 2 Christmases already, and it's just trying to give a little bit back. CFAX, when I started kind of getting into the music world, starting to do music promotions in Victoria a number of years ago, I've always been listening to CFAX, and I started listening to a lot of the stuff that CFAX Santa's Anonymous was doing. Everything stays local, and it helps the families, and it's not just for Christmas. It's even though it says, Santa, but the gift of giving goes all year long, and there's so many essential programs, and sending the kids to camp, that's great too, because times are tough. And tough, more so for some others, and giving and staying local in our community. And I had the availability with working with some great bands to put some stuff together and help out at this different times of year.
And that's what it's all about. We're helping CFAX Santa's Anonymous, and for those who want to go check out just some music, this is a cool opportunity as well. So talk about the concert itself. Phoenix Bar, who's going to be playing? What kind of music is it? And is it for everybody?
Yes, this year we have 4 great bands, and it's called Metal for Munchkins. I mean, our headliner is an amazing Alice in Chains tribute group called AIC Facelift. They've helped us out a number of times, and I always love to have Robert Barron and the boys from Facelift come on down. They're just amazing. If you're an Alice in Chains fan, you'll get the goosebumps. You can close your eyes, and you're right there at a concert. And this year, it is Metal for Munchkins. However, we're straying a little off, and we're opening it a little wider. We've got a great party band called Karen and the Managers, and they do some covers from Lady Gaga all the way down to AC/DC and everything in the middle from there. And then we've got hard rock metal group doing their takes. They're almost like a kind of mini trib for each song that they do, called Greasy Hush Money. And so you need to watch them. If you like Sober, if you like Tool, if you like Faith No More, bands like that, they do some great work in there. And then opening up the night, we've got a band called Goose. That's G-U-S with that little umlaut over the U. And they're a really pop, indie alt, a little edge, fun, originals band. And it'll be, if you are a Goose fan, they have played a number of shows in Victoria over the number of years. This will be your last time to see them as they are relocating to Saskatchewan. So we're really happy to have them back before they leave the island.
And I just want to rewind for a second and just give a shout out to that one band you mentioned for having one of the best names, Karen and the Managers. That's just a good. Yeah. That's a good choice.
Yeah, no, isn't it right?
I love it. Okay, so but what you just explained there, by the way, is very eclectic. So like, don't get too caught up in the name, thinking this is going to be a bunch of like death metal, melting your face off kind of stuff. There's a whole variety of things, and it's at the Phoenix Bar, which is in Saanich, right off Quadrant. It's a really cool venue. It seems to be a place where a lot of music in Victoria has been happening. It's been a really great place for Victoria's music scene.
The Phoenix has really, over the number of years, really come into their own and welcomed again. A lot of metal goes there, but a lot of indie goes there. They have a comedy night as well, just to give a little push out to the Phoenix. They have other events all week. So a big shout out to Mike Turner and Jenny Turner at the Phoenix for being a big supporter of my work and the live music in Victoria altogether.
All right, so it's Metal for Munchkins, but again, it's a variety of music. It's this Friday, Phoenix Bar. All proceeds going to support CFAX Santa's Anonymous. What else do we need to know? I guess you buy tickets at the door. Do you buy tickets ahead? How do you go?
Tickets are $20 at the door. I mean, that's the main price. But it is sort of a donation price point. Give what you can. Come on down. 7:30 doors Friday night at the Phoenix. We're also going to be. We have Incendiary Tattoos is going to be on location. They've been our partners before, doing fun flash tats on location. So if you wanted to get a little ink and remember, they're going to be doing a little camping themed. Incendiary Tattoos will be doing that. We have some draws and some giveaways, and for my big metalhead fans as well, we're giving away 4 tickets to Mosh the Rock Island Metal Fest. That's happening in August 9th this year. So that's the big prize. The big draw prize will be 4 Mosh the Rock tickets.
There you go. Metal for Munchkins Spring Fling this Friday from Royalty Entertainment. That's Royal Savoy. He's putting it all together. Thanks again for your support of CFAX Santa's Anonymous. It's always appreciated.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. Thank you for having me on and getting the word out. And come on down, everybody. Metal for Munchkins, Friday, May 22nd at the Phoenix.
There you go. It's this Friday. Okay, we'll take a quick break for the news coming up, but much more to come, including your opinion on the Victoria Day Parade. How did it go for you? This texter at 71010 says, not happy with the new route for the parade. It was too short. Not enough bands or floats. Hard to get to. We don't go downtown. Mayfair was easier to get to. Better parking. So that is one opinion coming in at 71010. What did you think? We'll get to more of those reviews coming up in a few moments after the 7 o'clock news.
CFAX Victoria,
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Hey, good morning. It's 7 o'clock on Tuesday, May 19th. We're starting off cloudy, but we could see some peaks at the sun later today. A little wind with us. Highs to hit 16 degrees. I'll get you a full forecast in just a few moments. But first, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thanks, Ryan, and good morning. The fate of Canada's snowbirds will be announced today amid concerns the fleet could be temporarily grounded and plans to upgrade those aging jets.
We need that national pride, and I think the snowbirds are probably the symbol of that.
Defense Minister David McGuinty is set to announce changes at CFB Moose Jaw.
The worry here is that the gap might turn from a year or 2 years into 5.
There are alternatives, but this Liberal government seems to be looking at life through a straw.
The good news here is it appears the government is finally moving towards replacing the snowbirds. But as always, whenever government buys something, especially military, the question is how long will it take?
News from the Navy as well. Vice Admiral Angus Topshee, the head of Royal Canadian Navy, was live on CFAX earlier, sharing more on assuming the expanded role. As second in command of the Canadian Armed Forces, he says much change is expected in the next couple of years on the forces on all levels. The Nanaimo RCMP responded to a report of an explosion in a wooded area over the weekend. Officers were called to the area near the 900 block of Terminal Avenue North just around 8 Sunday morning. They suspect it may have been caused by a faulty e-bike battery. Luckily, no injuries or damages reported, but police say a section of the road was closed for a couple of hours for the ensuing investigation. North of us, a Gold Rush-era hotel in the Yukon has been destroyed by fire. Dawson City Mayor Stephen Johnson says in a Facebook post that the city woke on Sunday to heartbreaking news that the Westminster Hotel, known as the Pit to locals, was lost. Images and videos posted on social media show flames and thick dark smoke shooting from the wooden 3-story structure as firefighters tried to douse the flames with water. Johnson said in his post that he's grateful that no lives were lost. The bar in the hotel was damaged earlier in January when a water main broke amid a cold snap flooding the street outside. Johnson says everyone at Dawson felt at home there, and at losing it felt personal because, well, it is personal. Something personal for a lot of people working at Starbucks. They are trimming the corporate workforce again, and this is a substantial cut.
The company filed a state notice saying 252 corporate employees tied to its Seattle support center are being laid off, with the first goodbyes happening July 17th and all separations wrapping up by February 1st of 2027. These are not baristas. We're talking vice presidents, directors, analysts, project managers, and other mid to senior level corporate roles. Starbucks says the cuts are part of a restructuring that will relocate or contract out some operations. And yes, that may include shifting more work to its growing Nashville office. I'm Monica Nelson.
A dozen Canadians among the 500 activists detained by Israel yesterday on a Gaza-bound flotilla aimed to break Israel's naval blockade, which restricts the movement of goods and people in and out of the area.
The Israeli military boarded the boats wearing tactical gear in broad daylight, unlike previous interceptions, which mostly took place under the cover of night in international waters. Hamas has condemned Israel's attack on the flotilla, calling on the international community to pressure Israel to end its blockade, which has been in place for almost 20 years. The latest action comes just weeks after Israeli forces intercepted about 20 boats from the flotilla near a southern Greek island. It detained 175 activists, including 2 Canadians. Global Affairs Canada knows of the latest interception and has yet to comment. Naira Ahmed, The Canadian Press.
We all know that home ownership for many is beyond reach currently across North America, but ABC's Sherry Preston tells us car ownership is trending that way as well.
As nice as the ads sound,
0% financing for up to 60 months on all Chevy Silverados.
Car ownership has become too expensive for nearly 4 out of 10 Americans. They tell LendingTree that rising fixed costs, including loan payments and car insurance, make owning a car a luxury they cannot afford. A long-held rule of thumb is that your monthly auto loan payments should be no more than 10% of your income, but many car owners say that's impossible, with the average new car costing just under $50,000 and car insurance costs surging 37% since 2021, not to mention the price of gas. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Well, it's a sticker shock going around. And in health news, a new study shows eating grapes can lead to better skin protection. Researchers at Western England University did an experiment involving eating 3 servings of whole grapes each day for 2 weeks. Results show an increase keratinization and cornification events that help your skin form a protective outer layer against environmental damage. Researchers say this can lead to improvements in your skin's health. That's your news to 7:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking, do you agree with the federal plan to begin building a new oil pipeline from Alberta to the West Coast, possibly by next fall? About 3/4, 75% saying yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also, the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. Your news time, 7:06.
Thank you, Lisa. Folks weighing in on the new Victoria Day parade route. It went yesterday, of course. New route for the parade. How did you feel about it? 7-10-10. People are letting us know what they think, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, to the sports. Well, it was a win from the Montreal Canadiens last night in Game 7. That means they now go off to face the Carolina Hurricanes in the NHL's Eastern Conference Final. Last night, they beat the Buffalo Sabres 3-2, and Canadiens captain Nick Suzuki says his team emptied the tank to make the advance.
Took everything that we had to get through this series, and now we got to just reset, get some rest, and get ready to go to Carolina.
Game 1 goes Thursday in Raleigh, North Carolina. For women's hockey, Ottawa Charge hoping they have one more home win in them this season. The Charge had a 2-1 win over the visiting Montreal Victoire in Professional Women's Hockey League Walter Cup final action. Ottawa trails the best-of-7 series. It's a best-of-5 series. I'm so used to saying best-of-7, but this one's a best-of-5. They trail it 2-1 with Game 4 tomorrow in Ottawa. A 5th game, if necessary, will be played Saturday in Montreal. Team Canada leading Group B with 3 regulation wins at the World Men's Hockey Championship in Switzerland has today and tomorrow off before meeting Norway on Thursday. Canada defeated Denmark 5-1 yesterday despite entering the final period in a scoreless tie. In baseball, visiting Toronto Blue Jays will try to level their 4-game series with the New York Yankees tonight when they send right-hander Dylan Cease to the mound. The Jays took a 5-3 lead into the 7th inning in yesterday's opener, but 2 home runs from the Yankees helped them nab the 7-6 win. And in basketball, New York Knicks host the Cleveland Cavaliers in tonight's opening game of the NBA's best-of-7 Eastern Conference Final. And in the West, San Antonio Spurs opening that series, that final, with a 122-116 double overtime victory over the host Oklahoma City Thunder. That is your CFAX Sports 2709. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. They have a fresh selection of easy, entertaining party trays available. Order online, by phone, or in-store for your next event or your next family gathering. It's been a busy day at BC Ferries. Let's start there. We've seen sailing waits at 6, then again at 7. The 8 o'clock is next, and it's 91% full, so a possible sailing wait facing us at 8 from Swartz Bay to Tsawwassen. Now to the roads where things are looking fairly typical commute-wise when it comes to volume delays. We're starting to see those build up from the West Shore into Victoria. No crashes or accidents. We will have a new spot of paving work causing complications today. It's Cook Street again, but this time it's closer to Finlayson where that paving work is going to be happening today. They're going to still have it open, but still just restricted with all that work happening. That's, again, Cook at Finlayson, and I think Finlayson itself will be obstructed if you're trying to go eastbound. That's the direction from Quadra. Like, you can't take Finlayson from Quadra to Cook during the paving, at least today. Now to the weather forecast, we'll see a mix of sun and cloud for the day. A little blustery, though. Wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait and highs of 16 degrees. Partly cloudy tonight, lows to 10 then. Tomorrow we settle into kind of a bit more of a steady pattern of kind of clouds and sun alternating. Temperatures around about 20 degrees. And that's just kind of it. lows overnight around 10 degrees. So right through the next several days. That'll take us through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday might start to be a transition day, moving towards some rain later into the day or into Monday. Ooh, lots happening in the weather. What's happening for the stock markets? North American stock markets are now open. The S&P TSX starting the day down 55 points to 33,778. The Dow in New York is down 158 to 49,527. NASDAQ down 144 to 25,949. The Canadian dollar at 72.7 cents. U.S., which is down a little bit from the previous close.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, everybody talking about the Victoria Day Parade, which took place yesterday, and it has a whole new route, which we got to see in action after a lot of talking about it. How did you feel about it, actually seeing it? Lots of different opinions coming in at 7:10:10. This texter says, I love the new route. It helps all the local businesses downtown, and it is awesome. Then another texter who simply just says, parade, go big or go home. So you like a good big parade. That's good. This texter says, thinking the new route is an overreaction. We're a peaceful society, and it's a misguided error to shift our traditional values and principles. I get that, although, I mean, they kind of had their hands tied. The
actuarials just say no, and the safety of it.
I do think, yes, we are a peaceful society, but then on the other hand, somebody did drive a vehicle into a bunch of people last year.
Here in Vancouver.
Yeah.
But there's been stateside, there's been incidents of this for a number of years now. So the fact that you can't ever think it couldn't happen here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's just what it is in the New World Order. We have to keep people safe. And we do not want a happy event like this to turn tragic. So we have to make changes, and some of the changes aren't necessarily positive ones or are looked upon as beneficial, but they're necessary.
This texter at 7:10:10 says the new route is too short. It is shorter. I mean, the Mayfair all the way downtown along Douglas, I think was quite a bit longer when it was going. This one is shorter for sure. The texter continues, I'm afraid the bands from the U.S. won't keep coming. I don't know. Does it change? I mean, I guess they march for less of a time, but they still march.
But they're
in front
also
of all the
here for
people.
Topaz too, right? They're here for the event in Topaz Park, Highland Games. Thank you.
That's
Monday,
the one. Yeah.
or Tuesday. Things aren't skewing well after a long weekend.
It's too many things.
But they usually are performing. It's a double for them because a lot of times they're there. And when I remember seeing them on the Sunday night promoting that they were going to be in the parade on Monday. So they're not just at one spot. They really make the rounds when they come up.
Hopefully they stick around.
That would be good. It's nice to have the influx of music from other places and, sharing ideas.
Another texter at 7:10:10 says we don't go downtown either, so no downtown parade for us. And I get that we've had a few texters on that this one was just a bit too far downtown. I always thought of the original parade route was also downtown, but I guess for some people being able to stop around Mayfair and not have to make it that final push into downtown.
Because you could park anywhere along there.
Yeah. I guess
so.
Yeah, that I get that. I get that change. I guess you have to just, even though for me, I guess I always watched it downtown anyways because it did eventually go downtown along Douglas and went all the way down there.
Too.
Well,
at the time.
For me, I have this weird, I don't know if anybody else has this. So I live in Esquimalt.
Yeah.
If you're in Esquimalt or Vic West, it's actually easier to get downtown than it is anywhere else because you come across the Johnson Street Bridge and you're just there.
True.
Whereas I think for people who are coming up the peninsula or maybe you're coming from the West Shore and then sort of down, Douglas and Blanchard, it's
sort of more of a hike.
It's a different perspective for what is more accessible to you.
I always thought Mayfair was just so obvious as a muster point because they had the space.
Yeah.
And now it's got to be tighter for them. When you got 4,000 people milling around to do the parade. The other aspect of that is they put so much time and money into it. If people don't turn out and the parade route is shorter, then is it possible that people are going to sort of re-examine, well, is it worth it for us to do it? So, change is happening, obviously. Hopefully we can spin it and make it still a success. Maybe if enough people were to say, I thought it was longer or should be longer, then we can look at that too. But with it being longer, we also have to secure those routes.
Well, let us know what you think at 7:10:10. Right now, it's 7:16 and time for the headlines with Lisa.
Defense Minister Dave McGuinty will be in the heart of Saskatchewan, Moose Jaw, at the home base of the Canadian Armed Forces team today. The Snowbird team, that is. Speculation has swirled around the future of the aerial acrobatic squadron. Opposition Conservative MP Fraser Tolmie told Question Period air shows across North America are quietly being told this summer that this will be the Snowbird's final season. McGuinty replied that the team's aircraft fleet is approaching the end of its life, but the Snowbirds would continue to perform as long as the planes remain safe. The U.S. president said he's pausing his planned attack on Iran as a result of what he called very big discussions. At the White House this morning, Trump confirmed he was putting the scheduled attack on hold after a trio of Middle Eastern leaders asked him to. Trump said Iran and the U.S. have been close to deals before, but in his words, this is a little different. We'll let you know what different turns out to be moving forward. And have you heard about the Tall Tour? It's a traveling meetup drawing thousands of unusually tall people to cities across the U.S., offering the rare experience of blending in and not towering over. It's actually founded by 6'9" TikTok creator Tyler Bergantino. And the events feature group gatherings, speed dating, and a crowning of the tallest king and queen. In Seattle, a 6'5" mom and her 7-foot son were crowned. Attendees described the relief of being surrounded by other trees, human trees that is, sharing everyday annoyances like trying to fit in an airplane seat, limited clothing options, shoe options, and constant public attention. How tall are you anyway? Women bonded over the challenges of finding a taller partner. It's a lot of things people don't have to think about. That is your news, 2717.
I love that idea.
I do too.
Let's just all go be tall together.
You know the guy that started during, was it pandemic? The guy that started the Ryans, the Gathering the Ryans?
Oh, yeah, just everybody named Ryan.
Yeah.
As
You've never gone, eh?
As a millennial named Ryan, there's a lot of us. For some reason...
Well, Ryan means king.
Yeah, there's for some reason, just for my age group, we all...
Lots of Ryans.
How
many Ryans do you actually know?
1 in 4 chance you're probably named Ryan.
Because it used to be Dave.
Yeah.
Like our VISC squad, I think at one point we had 5 Daves.
Yeah. Different generations have that name that for whatever reason everybody just
the
picked.
ubiquitous name.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't how many kids named Ryan do you see nowadays?
It's a good name.
There's none of them.
Like I said, it means king. So your parents chose well.
I have not met a child
He's
named Ryan.
He's ignoring me. He doesn't like the compliment.
No, it's a good. I'm fine with my name, but yeah, we sure roll call during school was you have to get through about 5
How many
Ryans.
Ryans in your class?
Oh, there'd always be multiple. Yeah, it seemed like. Anyways, hey, we've been talking about events coming up next weekend. So of course the Oak Bay Half Marathon is running on Sunday.
If you live in the neighborhood, be aware.
Get ready for the road closures.
We're
and all
going to
the
be
runners.
making noise on the streets.
They
too.
sold out, by the way. They're fully sold out for the half marathon.
So what? How many people is that?
I think it's 2,700, which is a lot smaller than some of the downtown ones, but they keep it that way. They want to curate kind of a smaller
Still
event.
a lot of people when you see them coming at you.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And then the kids run. You see the kids coming at you with their game face on. It's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Running faster than all the adults, which is always fun. Okay, so Oak Bay Half Marathon's coming up. We also talked about how Medal for Munchkins in support of CFAX Santa's Anonymous is this Friday at the Phoenix Bar. It's a Santa's Anonymous fundraiser featuring a bunch of bands. Then Saturday, something else to tell you about. Woodbox Records is in the midst of planning a Fiddle Fest. And I believe that is coming up.
This is the first one, right?
This is not this Saturday, but next Saturday. I want to make sure I get this right. I almost misspoke. It's not this weekend. It's next weekend.
May 30th.
May 30th. But what is this Fiddle Festival all about? Daniel Lapp, great local musician.
Excellent.
He's the label creator for Woodbox Records, and he's going to tell us about this festival next. 7:22, taking a look at CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Watch out for new paving work, Cook Street, kind of on the other side of Finlayson. That'll be happening through the day today. Both directions are moving. It just will be obstructed as that work gets underway, and that's going to last for a few days as well. It's not just today. For BC Ferries, it's a busy one. We've had sailing waits all morning, and now it's happened again. The 8 o'clock is full. The 9 is your next available vessel. In the weather forecast, clouds with some sunny breaks today. It's going to be blustery. About 50-degree gusts off the Juan de Fuca Strait today. Highs of 16 degrees, so a little unsettled feeling, but pleasant otherwise. Partly cloudy tonight, lows to 10. Tomorrow, we get into some sunshine, and then for the rest of the week, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, even Saturday, all looking like sort of sun and clouds coming and going. Temperatures holding steady around a high of 20, a low of about 10. We're just going to see that play out over and over again for a few days, getting a bit stable after today. Maybe getting back to rain by later into Sunday and Monday in our long-range forecast.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Great local musician Daniel Lapp joining us right now. You might know him because you've heard him perform, but you might not know he is the label creator of Woodbox Records, and they're in the midst of planning a fiddle festival for not this weekend, but next weekend. Daniel Lapp, welcome to the program. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Ryan.
Always great to talk. How are you doing? Great. Always great to talk to you. Always great to hear you when you come and join us for the Miracle Day for CFAX Santa's Anonymous. It's great that you're always there. And now here you are doing a fiddle festival. Tell me about this.
Well, I grew up in Prince George and very much in a fiddle community. My grandpa was a fiddler, and I had uncles that were fiddlers. So fiddle music's always been a big part of my life. And I had a lot of mentors growing up, as I mentioned, my family, but also Prince George had a very strong fiddle scene. And so quite a few years ago, I started collecting music, original tunes and sheet music and stories and paraphernalia from many of these old fiddlers. And this collection's just been growing over the years. And so I finally started Woodbox Records to start to release some of this music, some field recordings, but also to start releasing albums of current fiddlers from around BC. So we've been doing this for about a year or so now, and so I thought I would start a festival here in Victoria, an annual festival where we release some of the music and have some guest performers of musicians that are on the label of albums that we've released during the year. So that's what's happening. It's May 30th.
Saturday, May 30th, and there's actually a bunch to the day, right? You got some workshops going on first, then you get the performances, actually a few different versions of performances through the day. Talk us through how the day will unfold.
We're going to start around noon, and we have the current Canadian fiddle champion, Max Francis, who lives here in Victoria. He's going to teach a workshop. He has an album on Woodbox Records, so he's going to teach a tune from that album. And then we also have our special guest from Vancouver, whose album is being released at the concert. Michael Berniat is his name. He's been a multiple BC fiddle champion, so he'll come and teach a workshop. We have a guitarist, Adam Dobre, who played on Michael's album and has been part of our Victoria scene here for many years. He's going to teach a guitar workshop. I'm going to do a presentation of BC fiddle history. So we have about 150 years of, records of BC, of fiddle music in BC, documented sheet music and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to talk about that. So that's going to be from like noon till 3. And then at 3 o'clock, we'll have an open fiddle jam. And then in the evening, we'll have a concert, and it'll feature a lot of these artists, as well as Tia Greenwood, who's a local cello player who plays fiddle music on the cello, and she's just finished her first year at Berklee College of Music, and so she's home. So it'll be a fun stop and community kind of event. Lots of kids there and adults, and it's going to be fun.
Oh, that's cool. So it's Christchurch Cathedral, by the way. That's where it's happening? Oh, no, Church of Christ. I said wrong one. Church of Christ, not Christ. I flipped that in my head for some reason. Church of Christ, which is at Pandora Avenue, right?
Yeah, it's the big white church with the pillars up on Pandora.
That's the one.
Looks like it's the top of the boulevard there.
Yeah,
and people can get tickets at our website. So it's woodboxrecords.com.
That's the one. Okay. Make sure you go to the right church on Pandora. Don't mean to mislead everybody. We're talking to Daniel Lapp, label creator with Woodbox Records, their big fiddle festival. The Woodbox Fiddle Festival, not this Saturday, but next Saturday is when all of this stuff will be happening. And last question for you, because when you think of fiddle music, you usually think of the East Coast of Canada. But from what I'm hearing from you, here on the West Coast, we've got a pretty vibrant fiddle scene as well. And it's great to celebrate that.
We sure do. They got a couple hundred years head start on us. but we're holding our own. There's lots of great fiddlers in the West Coast. And there has been now for, at least 50 or 60 years. A lot of them came from the prairies, and at least that generation, like our parents' generation. But we have a very strong fiddle community here. And, I think we should be proud of our fiddle heritage in British Columbia.
Daniel Lapp, much appreciated. Good luck with the whole thing on May 30th.
Thanks, Ryan. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, we'll take a break. 7:30 news next on CFAX 1070.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Join Capital Bike for Spring Go By Bike Week, May 30th to June 5th. Register and find celebration stations at gobuybikebc.ca. Sign up for the Walk for Alzheimer's Sunday, May 31st at Fisherman's Wharf. More info at walkforalzheimers.ca.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Hello, good morning. It is 7:30 on Tuesday, May 19th. It's going to be a little unsettled today. We've got a bit of wind off the water, mix of sun and cloud, highs of 16 degrees expected. We'll get you a full forecast in just a moment. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan, and good morning. The first case of Andes hantavirus in Canada has been confirmed, and it's on our shores, public health officials say. This following the presumptive case here in BC. On Saturday, BC Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry said one of 4 Canadians isolating here on Vancouver Island after exposure to a rare strain aboard that Antarctic cruise ship had developed symptoms and recently tested positive. The Yukon resident isolating in BC when Henry said they developed the mild symptoms, including fever and headache, a couple days ago. They and their partner were transferred to hospital here in Victoria for assessment and treatment. The positive result was considered presumptive pending the confirming test from Canada's National Microbiology Lab in Winnipeg. Dr. Henry says a confirmation was announced on Sunday. The PHAC confirms that the Yukon resident's partner had tested negative at this point. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention confirms at least one American tested positive for Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Dr. Peter Stafford, a medical missionary with the aid organization SURGE, was exposed while treating patients at hospital.
One doctor infected with Ebola while treating patients back in 2014 says he believes the current outbreak is much bigger than what current numbers show.
My biggest concern about this outbreak is that we learned way too much, way too quickly for this to be anything but really bad.
The outbreak raising concerns here at home ahead of the World Cup. The team from Congo plans to use Houston as its home base during the tournament. The U.S. government is now refusing entry to non-U.S. citizens who have recently traveled through countries dealing with Ebola.
Stats Canada says higher gas prices, mainly driven by the war in Iran, has pushed the annual rate of inflation up to 2.8% in April.
The cost of gasoline was 28.6% higher year over year in April as conflict in the Middle East disrupted global oil shipments. But that wasn't the only factor. Gas stations switched to costlier summer blends, and the removal of the consumer carbon price a year earlier skewed the annual price comparison higher. StatCan says falling prices for travel tours and a slowdown in rent inflation offset a jump in energy prices last month. Food inflation also cooled to 3.5% in April as grocery items like chicken, coffee, and tea saw their pace of price increases slow. Michelle Zedikian, The Canadian Press.
Defense Minister Dave McGuinty is in Moose Jaw today, set to make an announcement on the future of the snowbird team.
It comes amid speculation about the future of the aerial acrobatic squadron who have performed at thousands of air shows. Recently, during question period, David McGuinty said the team's aircraft fleet is approaching the end of its life, but the snowbirds would continue air demonstrations as long as the planes remain safe. He noted Canadians can rest assured that they will be able to enjoy the iconic snowbird formation for generations to come. Naira Ahmed, The Canadian Press.
In northern Alberta, RCMP are investigating a deadly glider crash.
Corporal Matthew Howell says police responded to the crash in Lamont County, northeast of Edmonton, shortly after 3 p.m. local time on Monday. He says one person was declared dead at the scene. Police are not releasing details about the pilot because Howell says next of kin had not yet been notified. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada says in a statement that the accident involved a privately registered Schleicher ASW-20. The TSB says it is deploying a team of investigators. David Augustine, The Canadian Press.
And Disney is being hit with a class action lawsuit over facial recognition technology at its California theme parks.
Facial recognition was put in place at Disneyland and Disney California Adventure entrances in April. The lawsuit argues Disney does not adequately disclose the use of their biometric collection. It adds that a sign at select entrances with a slash through a silhouette that allows guests to avoid the facial recognition isn't enough notice. The lawsuit's seeking at least $5 million. I'm Monica Nelson.
That is your CFAX News to 7:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. We're asking, do you agree with the federal plan to begin building a new oil pipeline from Alberta to the West Coast sometime next fall? About 3/4 say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. Your news time is 7:36.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps for a comfortable home, no matter the season. Big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. Looking at a blustery day with a mix of sun and cloud. Right now we're sitting at 12 degrees in Victoria. Full forecast to come. Right now, let's take a look at the sports where the Montreal Canadiens are off to the Eastern Conference Final. Alex Newhook scored in overtime as Montreal topped the Buffalo Sabres in Game 7. Newhook, who also scored the winner back in Game 7 of the opening round against the Tampa Bay Lightning, described that moment when his shot hit the back of the net in extra time.
It's a crazy feeling, a lot of emotion. Obviously, it was a war all series long, and for it to end up being Game 7 in overtime. Sometimes it just takes one shot, and coming across the line, just thought, there was a shot opportunity. So great to see it find the back of the net, and there's no better feeling celebrating with your teammates there after a win like that.
Montreal will face the well-rested Carolina Hurricanes in the NHL's Eastern Conference Final beginning on Thursday. Women's hockey, Ottawa Charge are trying to get another win out of the season. They had a 2-1 win over the visiting Montreal Victoire in Professional Women's Hockey League Walter Cup final action. Ottawa trails the best-of-5 series 2-1 now, with Game 4 tomorrow in Ottawa. It is a best-of-5, so the next win for the next game for Montreal could win it. A fifth game, if necessary, will be played Saturday in Montreal. And over to baseball, where on the Blue Jays front, they dropped the first of a 4-game series in New York last night. A 4-run 7th inning from the Yankees saw them come back and hold on despite the Jays bringing their best hitters to the plate in the 9th.
And now a modern-day Yankee killer, Vlad Guerrero Jr. steps up. Runners on first and second. Blue Jays down by 1. 2 men out here in the 9th inning. Right to Jazz Chisholm. Gets the hop. Fires to first. And the Yankees hold on. And you all may exhale.
Game 2 of the series goes tonight with the Jays sending Dylan Cease to the mound. And real quick look at basketball, where the New York Knicks will host the Cleveland Cavaliers in tonight's opener of the NBA's best-of-7 Eastern Conference Final. In the West last night, the San Antonio Spurs opened the Western Conference Finals with a 122-115 double overtime victory over the host Oklahoma City Thunder. That's your sports to 7:39. Hey, CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home in the mat of the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. For the roads, it's looking pretty typical still. No crashes or accidents for the major routes. If you see something, though, do let me know at 71010. We do have paving work on today, and then for the next couple of weeks, it seems, on Cook Street near Finlayson, kind of either side of Finlayson. Also, Finlayson closed eastbound at Quadra, so you can't go from Quadra to Cook Street on Finlayson during this paving work, at least for now. Cook Street's still open, though, just obstructed during the paving. So that's what's happening there. For the BC Ferries, it's been a busy morning. We've had sailing waits all morning long. It's the same story right now. The 8 o'clock, which is about to go, is full. Your 9 o'clock sailing from Swartz Bay to Swanson is 85% full at this time. And in the weather, a bit blustery today, a bit unsettled feeling, but still kind of pleasant. It's a mainly cloudy day. We'll see some sunny breaks. We'll see that wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait and highs hitting 16 degrees. For tonight, partly cloudy, still windy, lows to 10. Tomorrow, it starts to kind of change and settle into a much calmer, steady, kind of summery-like stretch of days. We're going to see some sun with clouds here and there for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Temperatures all those next stretch of days will top out around 20 degrees, lows down to around 10 degrees. It's just going to be kind of a stable period of weather. Sunday, it starts to transition. We might head towards some rain sometime Sunday or Monday, it looks like, in the long-range forecast. Right now, 13 degrees. On On the markets, North American stock markets are heading different directions right now, but nothing too drastic. S&P TSX is down 9 points. The Dow in New York is down 144. Sorry, it was going different directions. Now they're going all the same direction. I'm just going to clarify my opening statement after I hit refresh and everything changed. The TSX was down. The Dow Jones in New York down 140 points to 49,545. The NASDAQ is down 359 to 25,790. Canadian dollar at 72.6 cents US, which is down a little bit from yesterday's close.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
While we continue to get your review of the new Victoria Day parade route. It happened yesterday. We saw more people than usual. Just over 4,000 people participating in the parade, either marching or
it's a small city.
On a float or, dancing, whatever they're doing. That was the number of people. Slightly fewer floats, 88, or floats is the wrong term, like entries, just in total.
Yeah.
Instead
Large
of
and small,
there were 100 entries last year, 88 this year, so a little smaller, but a huge number of people involved. So that was the numbers. Then we had the new route going from the legislature down Wharf Street up to Centennial Square eventually as it zigzagged its way through downtown. What did you think? This texter at 71010 says, "Congratulations to the organizers for successfully creating a new parade route that looked and felt good. Marshalling looked very organized. Many local organizations participated. Free parking since it was holiday Monday made it a perfect reason to come downtown." This texter at 71010 says, "Good morning, Ryan and Lisa. We are lucky to have the parade, but some will always complain." That's from Grant. Thank you for texting at 71010. We've had a few other complaints, though, just saying, it was a bit, they didn't like how short it was, and they didn't like having to come all the way downtown. People are missing the Mayfair end of it. We're getting that opinion quite a bit today, too. So there you go. That's how people are feeling, Lisa.
Yeah, and change is difficult, and some parts of it may be better, and some parts of it not. They did say, the mayor did say, that they're trying this. It's not permanent. They're setting this new route, and if they have to make tweaks to it, they will. So wait for more changes based on how you feel about it.
Let us know at 71010. Did you know that this summer is the CFAX Summer of Rock?
Got to say it like you mean it.
Yeah, the Summer of Rock.
That's right.
You can't not. Anyways, I'm sure you've heard about this by now, but if you haven't, here's what we're doing. We're going to be playing rock songs.
Yes.
Special ones.
Specific songs.
All through this week. And if you hear the sound of a Black Keys song,
because that's the artist of the week.
It's the artist of the week. You got to text us the word rock. And what do you win if you successfully text the word rock and get entered into the draw?
You win a lot.
And then the draw happens. The winner of that will get sent to see the Black Keys and get the accommodations at the Rosedale on Robson and get the transportation on Helijet.
Right. That's worth the price of admission right there. Just taking the chopper across like a boss, landing harbor to harbor, and then you and a friend going to the show.
Exactly. So that's this week's artist. It's the Black Keys. Listen for the sound of a Black Keys song, text us rock. That's the important thing.
And your name.
And then what we've got to do is let you know that there are other rock concerts coming this summer, like Motley Crue, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, so much more to come. But right now, listen for that Black Keys
song. We've got 4 weeks of this.
Yeah. And it's all brought to you by and powered by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt. CFAX 1070 News Time is 7:45. What's happening, Lisa?
Long Way to Crossing and Trail officially opening for the weekend in Souk. The Little River Trail links the Sun River neighborhood, local schools, and Souk's town core through a 600-meter forested trail, providing an alternate to the 4-kilometer highway route. The trail provides a route for walking, recreation, everyday travel, also offering access to the natural settings along the creek, so a new option for you. Stats Canada says the annual pace of inflation rose to 2.8% in April, amid higher gas prices from the Iran war. Economists had broadly expected inflation to top 3% in the month from 2.4% in March, so it definitely went up, but not as much as they had feared. Robert Irving, a key executive at New Brunswick forestry and shipbuilding giant J.D. Irving Limited, has died at the age of 71 following a battle with cancer. Irving's family made the announcement in a news release saying he died today, surrounded by family in Moncton, New Brunswick. A spokesperson for the family said last year that Irving had successful surgery for cancer in July 2025. They didn't specify what kind. Irving, who was co-CEO along with his brother Jim Irving, received the Order of New Brunswick in 2024. Changes to Canada's Citizenship Act has led to a surge of Americans combing through records dating back hundreds of years, hoping to find a relative who might help them become a Canadian. Recently introduced legal changes on the so-called first-generation limit on citizenship for those born or adopted outside Canada to a Canadian citizen. That's led a wave of people to suggest that meaning citizenship would be passed down automatically through generations of descendants subsequently born outside Canada beyond just the first generation. The federal government says, though, distant ancestry doesn't automatically make someone eligible, but of course a whole lot of Americans are hopeful to be able to wave the red and white soon enough. And Ryan, did you hear about the frog salad?
Frog salad?
This is in Australia, and it's trending on Twitter because the footage is crazy. So this woman and her housemates in Western Australia bought some salad greens and sealed in a plastic bag.
Yeah.
Well, it came with some protein.
So they open up the bag
There's
and...
a little green frog in it.
Oh, no.
I
Was
know.
this just one?
There's just one.
Okay.
That's enough. Good sized frog, too.
Not like it
was
needs
like
to
a
be
little
more.
terrarium. They were looking at this frog. Looking at them. They're looking at them. So you got to see the footage. It's very cute. The farmer's preparing dinner, and they saw it, thankfully. So the supermarket chain Woolworths has apologized. They're investigating how the frog got in there. But, you know, when there's little critters in your food like that, when you're fresh greens, you know it's fresh.
There you go, yeah.
It hasn't been tampered with. Anyways, they christened the frog Greg.
Did they keep it?
And then they released it near the
okay.
house. They put the frog out to do its froggy thing. Greg, Greg is on his way.
Every once in a while in lettuce, you'll find little bugs.
Yes.
A little bit of dirt. That's totally fine. I've never thought a frog could have been an option.
It's a good-sized frog, too. You
Yeah.
got to see the footage. So it's wild story out of Australia. There you go.
Google search it. I love it. I've got a wild story for you next. Well,
Okay.
actually, maybe it's not a wild story. It was a wild story. Now we're getting a Vancouver Island edition to it. So do you remember back a little while ago, there was that controversial ostrich farm here in BC.
On the mainland, yes.
That was resisting its order to call its flock because
400
of an
birds.
avian flu outbreak. And weirdly, it became a global symbol of for like the right wing of politics.
People wanted to ship them to the States to save them. There was a lot of options.
Like people in the Trump administration were getting
Correct.
involved in this. It was just an odd thing that unfolded, this ostrich farm thing in its place in politics. And now we're learning that the people behind that ostrich farm are launching a new venture here on Vancouver Island. And a reporter who's covering it is joining us next to explain what's going on. So we're going to get into that next.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos,
What started as a dull day is anything but
the top newsmakers,
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
what is really going on.
the breaking news,
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos, weekdays 9 a.m. to 11,
Bigger picture politically, which
is on CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Thrifty Foods has a selection of easy, entertaining party trays available. Order online, by phone, or in store for your next event or family gathering. Traffic and weather, we are a busy day at BC Ferries. We're seeing a busy day at BC Ferries. 8 o'clock is full. 9 o'clock is 90% full. It's a possible sailing wait at 9. We've seen every single sailing from Swartz Bay to Swassen fill up over the course of the day today so far. For the roads, it's looking pretty typical. No crashes or accidents at this point. A fairly heavy volume delays from the West Shore into downtown Victoria, but it's not unusual for a Tuesday. And in the weather, a bit blustery today. Mix of sun and cloud, highs of 16 degrees. Partly cloudy tonight, lows down to 10 with the wind still blowing. And then after we hit tomorrow, we're going to warm up to about 20 degrees as a high, get a bit sunnier, and then that's going to take us through the week. With kind of clouds and sun coming and going, but more or less a calm stretch of weather for the next few days.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
Yeah, it seems there's a local development involving the province's most controversial ostrich farm. As registry documents suggest, Universal Ostrich Farm co-owner Dave Belinsky has launched a new venture here on Vancouver Island. And a reporter who is looking into this is joining us on the line right now. Meg Collins is a Vancouver-based journalist who got the scoop with the Tyee, and she's joining us here. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing pretty well. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, great to talk to you. So first off, let's just sort of start with the background here about why anybody's interested in ostrich farms. Because, I mean, it's this particular one which made such a splash a little while ago in not just local news, but global news.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, a big thing about this case was that, so RFK Jr. commented on it. It attracted the support of a lot of protesters involved with the convoy, and so it's also So avian flu is a very dangerous. It has about a 90 to 100% mortality rate for farm chicken. So a lot of the community members around the Edgewood farm were very concerned, and then a lot of community members on Vancouver Island, especially with chickens, are also very concerned about this.
Right. Yeah. So, but back when this story first unfolded, it was that avian flu outbreak. They refused the call. It became a big political issue. It's all over now. Like the call eventually happened after a lot of hand wringing and global attention, and then it's been kind of quiet ever since. So, what flagged you that something was coming to Vancouver Island?
Sure. So I originally heard about the story through my editor, Jen St. Denis. So she assigned me the story. And then I had talked to some community members, specifically in Comox Valley, though it hasn't been confirmed that they're setting up on Comox Valley, though both Hewitt and Belinsky have mentioned it's a possibility for where they're going to set up a farm. They haven't bought land yet. But I had talked to community members who had heard that it might be a possibility, that they were setting up in Comox Valley. And then also Hal Hewitt had been posting a lot on his Facebook page. Specifically, he posts a lot of reels. And recently he's been posting a lot about the farm and kind of with Dave Belinsky.
And Dave Belinsky, he's the co-owner of that original ostrich farm. And then Hal Hewitt is a Comox Valley guy who I guess is involved in maybe this new one. Those are the players.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So Dave Belinsky is still 50% owner of Universal Ostrich. I confirmed that when I chatted with him a couple weeks ago. And yeah, Hal Hewitt is a local guy to Comox Valley. He also is the vice president of the BC Prosperity Project, which, if you've heard about the Alberta Prosperity Project, the BC Prosperity Project is also a BC separatist movement organization. And Jen St. Denis actually did some really great reporting about one of the moderators of the BC Prosperity Project's Facebook page, that one of the moderators, Curtis Stone, had been open about his white nationalist beliefs, including a strong interest in Adolf Hitler and other Nazi leaders, which is definitely also concerning to community members in Comox Valley, and that Dave Belinsky, who they've seen as not having the best track record, is starting up a new farm on Vancouver Island, and then Hal Hewitt, who has been known as being part of the BC Prosperity Project, is also is starting up this new venture with Dave Belinsky, and that there's also just generally not a lot of people just don't know what's going on. And frankly, I wasn't able to get a lot of information from either Hewitt or Belinsky, so they wouldn't tell me where the ostriches. So they do have ostriches right now. I realize I'm kind of stepping over. You're probably going to ask this, but they do have ostriches right now. There's a video of the ostriches being transported, though it's unclear where they're being transported from or where they're being transported to. But they refuse to tell me where the ostriches are being kept.
But it's on Vancouver Island?
But I believe it's on Vancouver Island.
Okay,
yes.
that's the suspicion, and there are these registration documents suggesting that they're doing something here. It's just all very mysterious, it sounds like. That's interesting.
Yeah, so their main office is based in Campbell River. And so far, that's their only kind of the business, like the location that's listed in their business registration documents.
Huh. Well, look, we're running out of time, but it's an interesting story. Just certainly some eyebrows raised up in the Comox Valley area after this, ostrich farm story made such a splash in the news back when it was going in the interior. Now, an operation here on Vancouver Island has some people up there thinking, what's this all about? And if you want to read more in the Tyee, you can read my guest's work. Meg Collins, Vancouver-based journalist and editor who writes for the Tyee. Thank you so much for sharing a bit of the story here with us.
Of course, yeah. Thanks so much.
Much appreciated. We got to take a break, though, because 8 o'clock news coming up right away on CFAX 1070. Stand by.
CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 8:01 on this Tuesday, May 19th. We are looking at a day that's a bit on the blustery side. We got some wind, we got some cloud. We will get some sunny breaks eventually. We'll get you a full forecast in a moment, but right now the news begins. And here is Lisa Best.
Thank you. Good morning. The fate of Canada's snowbirds to be announced today in Moose Jaw amid concerns the fleet could be temporarily grounded in plans to upgrade those aging jets.
We need that national pride, and I think the snowbirds are probably the symbol of that.
Defense Minister David McGuinty is set to announce changes at CFB Moose Jaw.
The worry here is that the gap might turn from a year or 2 years into 5.
There are alternatives, but this Liberal government seems to be looking at life through a straw.
The good news here is it appears the government is finally moving towards replacing the snowbirds. But as always, whenever government buys something, especially military, the question is how long will it take?
Those words coming from David McGuinty today will bring you the latest as it develops from Moose Jaw. The U.S. president offering an update on the White House ballroom that he's building. Donald Trump highlighting the security features of the new addition, which is akin to a bunker.
The roof is dead flat with absolutely nothing but strength on it. It's very strong steel. It's drone-proof, and it's meant for our military to be able to stay on it. You get a view of Washington. It's very powerful. Very powerful. A tractor, a bulldozer cannot knock it over. It goes down deep, and it's titanium, which is the strongest of all of the metals.
Trump says an incident like what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner wouldn't have happened if it had been held at the ballroom. He also showed off new renderings and said the facades are inspired by Greece and Rome. Nanaimo RCMP responding to reports of an explosion in a wooded area over the weekend. Officers called to an area near the 900 block of Terminal Avenue North just after 8 Sunday morning. They suspect it was likely caused by a faulty e-bike battery. Luckily, no injuries or damage reported. Police say a section of the road was closed for 2 hours till about 10 a.m. Sunday for the ensuing investigation. North of us, a Gold Rush era hotel in the Yukon destroyed by fire. Dawson City Mayor Stephen Johnson said in a Facebook post Sunday that the city woke to the heartbreaking news that the Westminster Hotel, also known as the Pit to locals, was lost to flames. Images and video posted show flames and thick dark smoke shooting from the wooden 3-story structure. Johnson said in the post he's grateful no lives were lost, but the feeling is very personal for people in Dawson because it was such a landmark for them. Starbucks trimming its corporate workforce again, and this time a pretty big dent.
The company filed a state notice saying 252 corporate employees tied to its Seattle support center are being laid off, with the first goodbyes happening July 17th and all separations wrapping up by February 1st of 2027. These are not baristas. We're talking vice presidents, directors, analysts, project managers, and other mid to senior level corporate roles. Starbucks says the cuts are part of a restructuring that will relocate or contract out some operations. And yes, that may include shifting more work to its growing Nashville office. I'm Monica Nelson.
And the World Cup that begins next month with games in Vancouver, 7 of them starting June 13th, is expected to be the most polluting World Cup in history. Climate scientists and advocates are criticizing FIFA, saying it made the wrong plans at a time when climate change is worsening and the risk of playing in dangerous heat is increasing. FIFA has a commitment to reduce its carbon emissions by 50% by 2030. But of course, the games are played across 16 stadiums, including here in Canada, Toronto and Vancouver, as well as the U.S. and in Mexico. There are 60% more games than in the past, and FIFA expanded the number of teams from 32 to 48 to include more people. That means 5 million fans are expected to travel and attend games. Fred Daly, researcher at University of Sussex, says that travel alone makes it the most emissions-intensive World Cup that we've ever seen. That's your news to 8:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. Do you agree with the federal plan to begin building a new oil pipeline from Alberta to the West Coast sometime next fall? About 3/4, 73% saying yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 8:07.
Thank you, Lisa. We have a kind of cloudy start to the day. A little wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait. It's going to get a little more blustery as the day goes on, but we could see some sunny breaks. Right now it's 13 degrees. Let's take a look at CFAX 1070 Sports, where the Montreal Canadiens are off to the Eastern Conference Final with a big win in Game 7 yesterday in overtime. Alex Newhook scored the overtime winner as Montreal topped the Buffalo Sabres in Game 7, and Canadiens captain Nick Suzuki reflected on the moment that puck hit the back of the net to book a date with the Hurricanes.
There's a lot of emotions, relief, excitement, jumping off the boards as fast as you can to get over and celebrate. So that was an amazing shot, amazing play.
Carolina swept both the Ottawa Senators and Philadelphia Flyers to make it to the third round, so they're rested up and waiting now for Montreal. Okay, so that's what's happening with the NHL. In the PWHL, Ottawa Charge and the Montreal Victoire will be going at it with the Montreal Victoire up 2-1 in the best of 5 over Ottawa. The Charge had a 2-1 win over the visiting Montreal Victoire in last night's Walter Cup final action. We'll see the next one tomorrow, Game 4, which could be over then. Fifth game, if necessary, will be played Saturday in Montreal. Visiting Toronto Blue Jays will be aiming to level their 4-game series with the New York Yankees tonight when they send right-hander Dylan Cease to the mound. The Jays took a 5-3 lead into the 7th inning yesterday in the opener, but 2-run homers from the Yankees helped them nab a 7-6 win over the Jays yesterday. And in basketball, New York Knicks host the Cleveland Cavaliers in tonight's opening game of the NBA Best of 7 Eastern Conference Final. Last night, the Western Conference Finals opened up with San Antonio Spurs defeating Oklahoma City Thunder 122-115 in double overtime. That's your sports to 8:09. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Thrifty says fresh, easy, entertaining party trays available. Order them online, over the phone, or in store for your next event or family gathering. So taking a look at traffic and weather, let's just start with the commute from the West Shore into downtown Victoria. It's fairly typical. No crashes, accidents, and it's about a 45-minute drive right now from, say, the Royal Bay neighborhood of Colwood into downtown Victoria. That's just one example of where things are at, and that seems like a pretty typical Tuesday commute for this time of the day. We will have paving work on Cook Street near Finlayson kicking up today and then lasting for a couple of weeks. So Cook near Finlayson, the traffic's still flowing both directions, just expected to be a little restricted as the paving work is kicking off there. And there is a full closure of Finlayson eastbound from Quadra in towards Cook Street, so that's another effect. They won't let you get that way as this work goes on. For BC Ferries, we've been looking at sailing weights all day long, but right now, the 9 o'clock sailing, which is the next one, still has a bit of space left. It's 90% full from Sports Bay to Swanson. And in the weather, a bit blustery today. We got some wind off the water. We got mainly cloudy skies to start, but some sunny breaks could be with us a little later on. Highs of 16. Tomorrow, we get sunnier, and then the rest of the week and even Saturday looking like a kind of oscillating between sunshine and clouds. We're going to kind of go both directions, but staying around about a high of 20 degrees all through the next few days. Lows overnight around 10 all through the next few days. Then come Sunday, that's where we might see the pivot back to some rain. On the markets in Toronto, S&P TSX is down 91 points this hour to 33,749. The Dow in New York is down 228 to 49,457. NASDAQ down 331 to 25,795. The Canadian dollar at 72.6 cents U.S., which is down a little bit from yesterday's close.
Let's get started. Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Yeah, the CFAX Summer of Rock continues when you hear the sound of, this week, a Black Keys song. Text the word rock to 71010. Don't worry, you haven't missed it. We haven't played one yet.
Okay.
We could play them throughout the day as well, so you just got to keep listening. When you hear a Black Keys song, text us rock. You'll be entered into the whole thing, the tickets to the Black Keys, the accommodations from the Rosedale and Robson Street Hotel, the Helijet flights. It's all powered by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt, so all that could be yours. You just got to text that word, R-O-C-K, rock.
And your name. Personalize
Well, you don't need your name, but
That's
you could.
nice to have it, though.
No, just make sure rock is the first thing, though.
Correct.
Don't muddle it up with name first or anything.
Messing with you.
All you need is the word rock.
Don't trash the hotel room.
And don't trash the hotel room.
Like a rock star.
Those are the two rules. The word rock.
Not a lot of rules.
The word rock and no hotel room.
And your challenge is to try to fit into your old rock T-shirt that you bought decades ago at said concert so that you can wear it for bragging rights. Look! It still fits.
I did just that recently.
Did you? Well, you were wearing one the other day that looked good.
We did a little video. We'll put it up on social media at some point of the Summer of Rock contest, and I found my oldest rock T-shirt.
What is?
It was,
what was it?
From 1998.
I saw it. It looked like it'd been through a few rodeos. I couldn't figure out what it was.
Page and Plant from Led Zeppelin came to, at that time we were calling it GM Place in Vancouver. And, yeah, so I dug that one out. Do you have an old rock T-shirt you could wear to the CFAX Summer of Rock? It's time to start going into the cupboard and seeing what you can find.
They became a thing like recently.
Kind of old rock T-shirts?
Well, they became the new thing, the new trend. And so anything that was on sale at secondhand stores was immediately scooped up. It's sort of like ugly Christmas sweaters or plaid shirts. Try to find those at second stores? No. You can't find them because it's a trend now.
Ah, they're too popular.
So now they sell them as sort of luxury items. So your T-shirt is probably selling for $600 on Rodeo Drive.
Well, I better.
You got money there, buddy.
I could start a little stand, a little stall outside my house. Come look at my old rock T-shirts.
Well,
it could be yours.
Yeah. You know, flipping the rock T-shirts, like it's sort of like albums, you know, they just, I don't know, they just gain more cred the older they get.
Well, if this radio thing doesn't work out, I've got T-shirts to sell.
Quit your day job.
It's 8:15. Here are the headlines with Lisa.
Thank you. Stats Canada says the annual pace of inflation rose to 2.8% in the month of April, amid what we already know, higher gas prices and grocery, for that matter, from the Iran war. Economists had broadly expected inflation to top 3% in the month, from 2.4% in March, so at least we came in lower, but of course, we're still getting sticker shock at the pumps. The price didn't budge on the weekend. It's actually pretty much stayed pat around $2.14.9 a litre. Somewhere in there is about the average. Changes to Canada's Citizenship Act have led to a surge of Americans combing through records dating back hundreds of years. They're hoping to find a relative that might help them get rights to become a Canadian. Recently introduced legal challenges remove the so-called first-generation limit on citizenship for those born or adopted outside Canada to a Canadian citizen. That led to a wave of people to suggest it means citizenship was passed down automatically through generations of descendants subsequently born outside the country beyond first generation. But the federal government is saying distant ancestry doesn't automatically make you eligible. However, some immigration lawyers, including some here in BC, support the theory, and archivists across Canada says they're being overwhelmed with requests. And the big topic du jour at this year's Cannes Film Festival in France is artificial intelligence, the technology's potential to remake the movie industry. Column A and B, good and bad, has been the ongoing debate since the festival opened. Meta's AI tools were used to produce or help produce one of this year's festival entries. It's John Lennon, The Last Interview, and it's drawn scorn for using Meta AI's program to create surreal graphics. But creator Steven Soderbergh believes it's time for this kind of experimentation. That's your headline news to 617.
Thank you, Lisa. I've been interested over the last little while to follow the story of the Chinese EVs. So after the Canadian government opened the door to some Chinese EVs to come to Canada without the big giant tariffs, I've been wondering, well, what will show up and how many of them and which ones? Because there are certainly some very interesting, cheap, affordable Chinese EVs that people would be curious about.
There's a cap, but still, they are coming in. So,
but would those be the ones that show up? Which ones would come? I don't know. So somebody who does know is Matthew Guy, automotive writer, who writes with Driver and other publications as well. He's going to be joining us next as he continues to follow it, and we're starting to get a sense of which ones are coming. So that's next. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps for a comfortable home no matter the season. Big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. No crashes or accidents on the roads, but you can text me at 71010 if you see something causing trouble out there. Standard volume delays from the West Shore into Victoria right now, about 45 minutes from Colwood around Royal Bay into downtown Victoria. That's the neighborhood I'm picking on today, just to give you an example. And that's a pretty standard commute time. For the BC ferries, still no sailing rate at 9, but we've seen every sailing this morning so far fill up from Swartz Bay to Swanson, and right now the 9 o'clock is 92% full for vehicle deck space. And over to the weather, where it's going to be a mainly cloudy day. We're now, this is new, so the forecasters are giving us a little bit of an update. Small chance of showers now worked in this morning. We didn't start the day with that, but now maybe scattered showers across the region this morning, then turning into just a mix of sun and cloud.
Did they say it was going to be sunny?
Well, no, they said it was going to be cloudy with some sunny breaks.
All right, well,
and we still could see some sunny breaks, but we now also could see.
Well, we weren't expecting
showers.
Hail on Saturday too, and Colwood got that.
Spring, it's just filled with surprises.
I don't like it.
So there you go. Today's forecast. It's a surprise.
Something will
happen.
5 minutes and it could change.
That's today.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
You know who else is full of surprises? Well, I don't know. Maybe he's not. But anyways, I'm happy he's here. Matthew Guy is an automotive writer with publications like Driver, covering, well, cars and the automotive industry. And he's joining us on the line right now. Sir, how you doing?
Good. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. So you and I have spoken a few times over the last little while, ever since the Canadian government opened the door to more Chinese electric vehicles. It's not a huge number, but we're allowing some of them in without the giant tariffs that we used to have. And that has led to the question all along, well, which ones are coming? And we're starting to get a sense of that, is my understanding. And you've been covering that a bit. So I wanted to talk to you about what EVs we're seeing from China here.
Absolutely. And there are some of the familiar players, which some of the listeners might be familiar. Tesla, for example, is starting to bring in some Model Y models and some Model 3 models from China instead of bringing them up from the States. And that has reduced the price of that one, of the Model 3, to under $40,000, which is a huge cut from what it was just a few months ago. So those are on their way already. We know those are coming. And Lotus as well, playing in a different price segment for sure. Those are six-figure vehicles, but the Lotus Elytra is on the ground here, and that is a Chinese-built EV as well.
And that's a luxury brand that I guess wasn't always built in China, but they are being built now there. These are EVs at least.
Yes.
Because they were,
that's right.
They're British, like the original ones, like the ones you'd see in James Bond. Those were a British brand back in the day, right?
They sure were. That was something that that's the name's got a lot of history with it.
Yeah,
for sure. Lotus does.
Well, the new version of fancy Lotuses that'll cost you a lot of money are coming in from China. So are those the first ones we're going to see here?
Yes, I would say those would be the very first ones. There are some on the ground in some parts of the country, and some of my colleagues have been test driving them. So they are here, and they are available, from what I understand, which is pretty cool.
Now, one of the things,
it's a pretty big development.
One of the things you mentioned back when we spoke before was that one of the things we might see is not necessarily new car brands we've never heard of before entering the Canadian market, at least not right away. It could just be existing car brands, like you just said, Tesla, that happen to already make vehicles in China, now have the ability to bring those ones in from China and not face those tariffs. And so I guess that's sort of what we've seen here with the Teslas. And is that kind of what we're expecting to see, or are we going to see brands we've never heard of before show up on our doorstep?
We are going to see brands, I feel, that we've never heard of before.
Okay.
And right now, just because Tesla and those types of brands already have the systems in place to sell cars here in Canada, they were able to get up and going pretty quickly, right? And if anyone, for our listeners, if anyone is, looking at the vehicles, looking at a Tesla, for example, just look at the VIN. Each car has its own unique VIN, right? Its own unique number. And if it starts with an L, with the letter L, that means it was made in China. So that's a quick way to figure out where the car came from.
Oh, cool.
But with the new brands that we feel are going to come to Canada, BYD is someone that has been floated a lot. And there's another one called Geely. And Geely is a big, big company. If you think about some brands might have a bunch of different brands, like Ford might have Ford and Lincoln as a luxury brand, right? So Zeekr is Geely's luxury brand. Galaxy is Geely's entry-level brand. And one of the ones that one of my colleagues saw over in China just back in May at the Beijing Auto Show was called the Galaxy Geome. And that one is small. It's a little bit longer than the Hyundai Venue. If you think about Hyundai's smallest crossover, just as a yardstick for you, just to put it in your mind of how big this vehicle is. And that one has a selling price over in China of about $13,000 Canadian. Now, we don't expect that price to directly translate over here.
Right.
Because it does cost money to get these things over here and to get things set up. But even double that will be a seismic event.
Well,
right,
that's what I was.
Automotive landscape.
You're kind of getting to what I was hoping to ask is, when do we see the cheap ones? Because I think a lot of Canadians, you hear about cheap Chinese EVs in other parts of the world, and you're like, well, I'd love to buy a $13,000 electric vehicle because the EVs are kind of expensive. And I think that's one of the big barriers to a lot of Canadians exploring these things. But so this might be coming down the pike here, one of those first entries into the cheap Chinese EVs coming, the Geely, you said.
Yes, and so that one was the Geely is the overarching brand, and that little sub-brand is called Galaxy. And BYD also has numerous, my colleague Andrew was looking at the BYD Sea Lion 05, and that one's priced at about $13,000 American, so 20 grand Canadian-ish. And that one's much bigger. That one is more of a still a compact SUV, but a little bit bigger than the one that we just talked about, and all kinds of technology in them. Range. Range is certainly on everyone's mind. So we would want to see, because things that are rated in different parts of the world don't always translate over here into Canada. Some of our ratings are a lot more realistic here in Canada from what you see on the sticker in some other parts of the world. But,
Matthew, I know you're probably scrambling to test drive a lot of these, and you don't necessarily want to give a review before the movie comes out, to be fair, but there's my analogy. What do you say? What do you say is going to be something that the Canadian public's going to glom onto? What's a good buy for us?
Well, I think that these companies are going to bring in some of these more affordable ones as the calendar year goes on, because it would be a bad look if they brought in really expensive ones and they sat around for a long time, right? I mean, people might think, okay, what's up with these? Can I get into this with any sort of level of confidence? And that's conversations that we were having decades ago when Japanese cars first came and when Korean cars first came, and those are we know these now, and people in Canada buy them every day. So it's a different conversation about cars coming from a different part of the world, but there's a lot of parallels there. And one thing that was very interesting that my colleague, when he was over in Beijing, there was one company called Leap Motor, and they had a Tim Hortons pop-up shop at their stand. I kid you not. And if there's one way into a Canadian's heart, it's with a double and Tim did, right?
So they're doing their market research. I got you. Hey, Matthew Guy.
Yeah, for real.
So we're talking EVs, Chinese EVs. We're learning about the first ones that are coming. Some of the more affordable ones from BYD and this overarching brand called Geely, the sub-brand called Galaxy. Maybe those are ones we're going to start seeing. I've only got like 30 seconds. Can I rapid fire some questions at you from listeners?
Give it a shot.
Okay. Texture says, the MG Cyberster, is that coming to Canada? Have you heard about that?
Oh, I have heard about that. I can't say with certainty it's coming to Canada, but it does. That is a funky looking car. And you talk about British brands, and you talk about brands with a lot of heritage. MG is one of them.
Okay, interesting. This texture says, was wondering if Canada regulated the price. Did Canada set like a low ceiling or floor for these prices at all?
It's interesting because they didn't put from what I understand, there's no specific floor, but there is a codicil in there that says, some of these $49,000 should be quote unquote affordable. So we'll see. I know that the government is going to reevaluate 6 months into this after 27,500 of the 49,000 cars have come in. And I expect to see some sort of pricing when they make that reevaluation later this year.
Okay, but Canada hasn't been like $35,000 is the lowest price you can charge or something like that. There's nothing like that?
Yeah. Not to my knowledge,
okay.
No.
And then real quick, last question at 7:10:10. Can he talk about dealer networks is simply the question. I guess, will there be like BYD dealer networks that show up, or how does that work?
To my knowledge, yes. I know that in the Ontario market, there have been lots of advertisements for hiring people, both in management positions and in things of that nature. So they definitely have designs I'm putting in the dealer network.
Okay, thank you for bearing with me with the rapid fire questions, and thanks to our listeners for weighing in. Yeah. Okay, Matthew Guy.
Absolutely.
Let's do this again soon. I love talking cars with you. I'd love to chat again soon.
It's great talking with you guys as well. Thank you for having me on.
And read more of his stories on these kind of things. A driver on the web is one of the publications you can catch Matthew's work. We'll take a break now. 8:30 News next.
The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe.
Everyone wants to know about real estate. Is the market going up or down? Time to buy or sell? How can government programs and policies affect you? Hear from local experts on topics like appraisal, inspection, investment, and others on how to maximize your real estate sale.
Providing info on everything you needed to know about real estate. The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe. Saturdays at noon on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 6. What am I saying? It's 8. It's 8 o'clock.
Tuesday after a long weekend.
Long weekend brain.
Fire the synapses.
It's 8:32 on Tuesday, May the 19th, and it's time for the news. Here's Lisa Best.
If you want to see the snowbirds, this is going to have to be the season. Ottawa has just announced from Moose Jaw the Canada Forces aerobatic team will fly its last season this year. After more than 50 years in the skies, the team is going to be grounded after that until early 2030s, so you could not see them possibly for a decade. Canada's Defence Minister making the announcement in Moose Jaw, the home base of Canada Forces snowbirds team. This after opposition Conservative MP Fraser Tolmie raised the issue of the squadron's future earlier this month. The Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan MP told Question Period air shows across North America quietly being told that they can't book the snowbirds for next summer. So this is coming to fruition. If you want to see them overhead, this is your year. Stats Canada says higher gas prices, mainly driven by the war in Iran, pushed our annual inflation rate up to 2.8% in April, but it's not as high as economists expected it was going to go.
The cost of gasoline was 28.6% higher year over year in April as conflict in the Middle East disrupted global oil shipments. But that wasn't the only factor. Gas stations switched to costlier summer blends, and the removal of the consumer carbon price a year earlier skewed the annual price comparison higher. Stackhand says falling prices for travel tours and a slowdown in rent inflation offset a jump in energy prices last month. Food inflation also cooled to 3.5% in April as grocery items like chicken, coffee, and tea saw their pace of price increases slow. Michelle Zedekian, the Canadian Press.
The first case of Andes hantavirus in Canada confirmed, public health officials say, following that presumptive case in BC, and it hits close to home because that person was self-isolating here on Vancouver Island. On Saturday, BC Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry says one of the 4 isolating after exposure to that rare strain above the cruise ship in the Antarctic had developed symptoms and recently tested positive. But this person from the Yukon, their partner, has tested negative, so there is good news. The Yukon resident self-isolating when Henry said they developed the mild symptoms, including fever and headache over the weekend. The person is now in hospital in Victoria, here in Victoria, for assessment and testing. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention confirming at least one American tested positive for Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Dr. Peter Stafford, a medical missionary with the aid organization SERVE, was exposed while treating patients at a hospital.
One doctor infected with Ebola while treating patients back in 2014 says he believes the current outbreak is much bigger than what current numbers show.
My biggest concern about this outbreak is that we learned way too much, way too quickly for this to be anything but really bad.
The outbreak raising concerns here at home ahead of the World Cup. The team from Congo plans to use Houston as its home base during the tournament. The U.S. government is now refusing entry to non-U.S. citizens who have recently traveled through countries dealing with Ebola.
There is currently no approved vaccine or approved therapeutics for this particular strain of Ebola. And that is your news to 8:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question: do you agree with the federal plan to begin building a new oil pipeline from Alberta to the West Coast next fall? 73% saying yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 8:37.
Why, thank you, Lisa, and good morning. Thanks for joining us here on CFAX on a Tuesday morning that feels like a Monday morning. yesterday was the holiday.
We're worded out by that, right?
Yeah.
What?
It'd be one of those weeks where you're like, which day is it again? Because it feels like this day, but, anyways.
But Friday's going to be awesome because
it's going to come so
suddenly
soon.
you're there.
Yeah.
Short work week.
Love a short work week. Let's talk about the weather real quick. So we now have a chance of showers in the forecast for Greater Victoria this morning. That wasn't there originally, but we might see some scattered showers across Greater Victoria for these morning hours. Then we will get into a windy afternoon. Could see some sunny breaks in all of that and a high of 16 degrees. So lots coming at you today. Over to the CFAX 1070 Sports. Let's talk hockey. Alex Newhook's goal at 11:22 of overtime lifted the visiting Montreal Canadiens to a 3-2 Game 7 victory over the Buffalo Sabres in their second round NHL playoff series. Here was the call.
Carrier ahead. Over the line comes Newhook. Shooting. Scores! Alex Newhook!
So the Canadiens will advance to the Eastern Conference Final, where they will face the well-rested Hurricanes starting on Thursday. So just a couple of days off for Montreal there. Over to the baseball. Blue Jays dropping the first of 4 games against the New York Yankees yesterday. A 4-run 7th inning from the Yankees saw them make a comeback, hold on, and get the win, despite the Jays bringing their best hitters to the plate in the ninth.
And now a modern-day Yankee killer, Vlad Guerrero Jr. steps up. Runners on first and second. Blue Jays down by 1. 2 men out here in the ninth inning. Right to Jazz Chisholm. Gets the hop. Fires the first, and the Yankees hold on, and you all may exhale.
Game 2 of the series goes tonight. Jays sending Dylan Cease to the mound. And the NBA playoffs continue. Let's see. We got last night in the West, the San Antonio Spurs opened the Western Conference Finals with a 122-115 double overtime win over the Oklahoma City Thunder. In the East, the New York Knicks will host the Cleveland Cavaliers in the best-of-7 Eastern Conference Finals. That's your sports to 8:39. All right, it's 8:40 here on Tuesday, May 19th, and the morning show is brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. Download the new Bluebird Cabs app at Bluebird Cabs Ltd. They're proudly local and Canadian-owned and run since 1946. Traffic and weather, let's get a sense of the West Shore commute right now. It's sort of easing up, as it often does by this point in the morning. Let's pick on the kind of West Shore town center area of Langford as our kind of example right now. So from there to downtown Victoria is currently taking 30 minutes, which is really quite a lot easier than it was about an hour ago. For BC Ferries, it's been a busy day. We now have a one sail wait at 9. Every single sailing this morning has been a one sail wait eventually. The 6, the 7, the 8 all filled up. Now the 9 has filled up for vehicle deck space. The 10 is your next available vessel for a busy day from Swartz Bay to Sawasan. The weather, small chance of showers this morning, otherwise a bit breezy for the day. Mix of sun and cloud once we get through these morning clouds and that chance of showers, highs of 16. Tomorrow starts to clear up. We're going to settle into just about a summery kind of week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all looking mostly sunny with clouds coming and going. Temperatures holding around 20 degrees as a high through the next 4 days. Lows of about 10 degrees overnight for the next 4 days. And then it changes again around about Sunday. That's where we might see some more rain coming in and the forecast changing up again. On the markets, let's take a look first off at Toronto. S&P TSX Composite Index down 34 points to 33,798. In New York, the Dow is down 245 to 49,440. The Canadian dollar at 72.7 cents U.S., which is down just a tick from yesterday's close. And then let's take a look at that barrel of crude oil. It is at $108.60. which is down a little bit from yesterday, but, is up overall from where it was last week.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, CFAX 1070 morning show continuing. The Summer of Rock is on. It's the Black Keys. Some texters wondering, what's the song we're listening for?
That's right.
Listen for the sound of a Black Keys song all this week. Whenever you hear it, text ROCK to us, ROCK. Be entered to win the tickets to go see the Black Keys in Vancouver later this month, but also the flights from Helijet, the accommodations for the Rosedale on Robson Street, and the whole thing powered by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt. And that could still be coming later this hour.
Beef up on your Black Keys knowledge.
Just saying, you got to be able to know what the song is. Okay, so that's coming up. Another thing that we haven't had a chance to talk to, so Friday, let's take you back to Friday.
Okay.
Big news on the national scene, a new agreement between Ottawa and Alberta that could advance the pipeline issue to the West Coast through BC. Premier Eby, I know, reacting later that day on Friday, saying projects shouldn't be prioritized to provinces where premiers are threatening to leave the country. So he was sort of taking a shot at Daniel Smith as his reaction to this news. But, this happened on Friday, that we had Holiday Monday. We haven't had actually a chance to really digest this story here on our show. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to get into that a bit. We've got Wolfgang Deppner, Canadian press reporter, on standby to join us in just a few moments and kind of see how the reaction has been the last few days and how this is playing out in BC in politics. So we're going to get into that in just a few moments here on the show. So stand by and also listen for that song. But right now, let's get to the headlines. Here's Lisa.
Kamloops RCMP say a woman is presumed to have drowned after the vehicle she was in plunged into the North Thompson River. This happened Sunday. A statement from police say the vehicle left the road around 6 p.m., diving into the waterway. A passenger in the vehicle rescued by 3 bystanders who jumped in to help, but they lost sight of the 24-year-old driver. Police say search and rescue teams have been scouring the area, but they've yet to locate the woman. Ottawa announcing Canadian Forces aerobatic team, the Snowbirds, will fly their last season this year, then be grounded until early 2030s. That's the earliest. Defense Minister Dave McGuinty making the announcement in Moose Jaw today, the home of the Snowbirds. He says they'll be retiring and replacing the Snowbirds' long-serving CT 114 Tudor jets after more than 50 years flying. In a statement to CTV, the Department of National Defense says it plans to replace the fleet with a new aircraft under its modernization effort not to be complete until the early 2030s. So if you want to see the Snowbirds one last time, this is your season. And do you eat grapes? I know they're expensive, but apparently they can lead to skin protection. Researchers at New England University, conducting an experiment involving eating 3 servings of whole grapes each day for 2 weeks. Results show an increase in the fortification of the skin's protective outer layer against environmental damage. So researchers say it leads to improvement in skin health overall. And that is your headline news to 8:46.
All right, we'll get into the pipeline politics in just a moment. Also, CFAX 1070 traffic and weather coming your way. If you see a problem, crash, accident, something else causing trouble out there, let us know at 71010.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Join Capital Bike for Spring Go By Bike Week, May 30th to June 5th. Register and find celebration stations at gobybikebc.ca. Sign up for the Walk for Alzheimer's Sunday, May 31st at Fisherman's Wharf. More info at walkforalzheimers.ca.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Time for that CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. We got a one sail wait at BC Ferries. 9 o'clock is full. 10 is your next one with any vehicle deck space left. It has been a busy morning all morning at BC Ferries out of Swartz Bay to Tsawwassen. For the traffic, no crashes or accidents this time. There is paving work now on Cook at Finlayson. That's the new sort of stretch where the paving work is really going to be slowing things up. So it's still moving both directions, but expect slowdowns and restrictions Cook Street at Finlayson, and that starts today and goes right through the next week or two. For the weather, look for a mainly cloudy start to the day with a small chance of showers, but some sunny breaks also coming at us, and then some wind off the Wantafuka Strait. It's just kind of a bit of everything, a bit unsettled today. Highs of 16. Then it kind of calms down for the rest of the week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we'll see mostly sunny skies with a few cloudy periods. Highs around 20 degrees right through the rest of the week, and lows down to about 10 degrees right through the rest of the week. Right now, it's 14.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, the pipeline politics are back with us here in BC as a new agreement has been reached between Ottawa and Alberta. A lot to do with carbon pricing in that province, which is part of their end of the deal to get the pipeline built out to the west, of course, across this province, which gets all kinds of reaction here. This all unfolded Friday, so we wanted a chance now after a long weekend has gotten behind us to see where things are sitting at this point. So Wolfgang Deppner, Canadian press reporter, joining us on the line with more. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me on, and good morning to you and your listeners.
Yeah, great to get you here. I was joking with you as I just called you up a few moments ago that it's always the way, huh? The Friday before a long weekend is where this big news gets dropped. I wonder if that was on purpose. But anyways, for those who missed it because you were heading into a long weekend, remind us of what took place on Friday and what it means for us here in BC.
Yeah, so basically on Friday, the federal government and Alberta agreed to a deal that sees Alberta accept carbon pricing, albeit at a lower rate than initially proposed, in exchange for the federal government accepting a pipeline submission to the Major Projects Office by July 1st, and then potential approval by October 1st, and then potential construction start in September 2027. So that's sort of the broad outline of the deal between Alberta and the federal government. BC Premier David Eby weighed in on that particular deal right away, calling it, sort of accusing Canada of rewarding Alberta for bad behavior, in sort of suggesting that this pipeline deal is basically a way for the federal government to appease the separatist sentiments, which Eby have accused Danielle Smith of stoking. Now, to some degree, he has a point, but on the other hand, it's also interesting to note that just 24 hours earlier, actually less than 48 hours earlier, David Eby and the Natural Resource Minister Tim Hodgson were in Vancouver, all smiles about LNG Canada Phase 2. So to some degree, the Premier was trying to have it both ways, but that's his pejorative.
Well, hang on. This is a great point you're bringing up. Is BC kind of behind the scenes working out its own deals? Like, okay, fine, if we're going to have a pipeline, what are you going to give us? And are we seeing some of that maybe with some of these LNG announcements, or what is it that we're trying to wheel and deal here?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, to some degree, the Premier also talked about his upcoming meeting with the Prime Minister about seeing what sort of federal support BC could receive for the various projects of national significance or national importance that are out here. The Premier always talks about them. He always boasts about the fact that BC has 40% of these national projects, and he's always sort of wondering, look, hey, we've got these major projects here. Time to come on board, Ottawa here. So to some degree, I suspect that's what's happening, and the Premier is in some ways trying to get. I would argue is trying to get the most out of this situation. He has himself acknowledged in the past that there may be few, if any, tools in the toolbox to stop this pipeline from happening. If Ottawa wants to push this pipeline across provincial borders and to BC's coast, it's within Ottawa's prerogative to do so. Constitution gives it a full the legal go-ahead on that. Now, on the other hand, this deal, this pipeline deal, if you wish, there are still lots of ifs and buts around this particular project. Key among them, the route. Danielle Smith over the weekend talked about 5 potential ports where this pipeline could end. She expressed her ongoing preference for a northern route, which she says would cut down the export times to the Asian markets by days. But she also acknowledged that a southern route, potentially to Roberts Bank, so that's the Delta to Wasson area, could be more politically feasible. Also in the works is a potential expansion of the TMX pipeline. So the route is sort of the big issue, the big question that hangs over this. The other one is a private proponent. No private proponent has come forward yet. The Prime Minister has made it clear that this project won't go ahead unless there is a private proponent. We're still waiting to see who that private proponent would be. And another key aspect of Friday's agreement was this carbon capture project, a very expensive, essentially untried technology that could actually not come online until after a pipeline is built. So if everything goes according to plan, a pipeline could be built. And note the conditional here, pipeline could be in place 2033, 2034. So that's some time out. And this carbon capture project on which the pipeline depends could come sometime after that. So there are lots of uncertainties at this stage. But yes, I would say that BC is looking to possibly get as much out of this. Again, the Premier is speaking today. I'm sure that it's going to be one of the questions coming up to see what sort of extractions BC, what sort of extractions or concessions BC might be able to extract out of Alberta and out of the federal government specifically.
Almost at a time, just a few moments left here as we speak to Wolfgang Deppner with the Canadian Press. But I do want to ask, how will this play out in BC politics this time, do you think? Like taking the rest of the equation out of it. You got David Eby's NDP government a little on the back foot recently. You've got the Conservative Party that have been dealing with their own leadership stuff. But, I think in the polls, they've at least been buoyed a little bit from some other issues. How do you feel this will play out in BC politics? Because the Conservatives are certainly coming out hard in favor, it sounds like, of oil and gas development and pipelines on the BC side. The NDP have historically been against them, but like you've said, they're maybe being a bit more pragmatic this time. But how do you feel this starts to filter down into the legislature here and into BC politics here?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and I think it hinges partly on who you expect to be the premier a few months from now. So certainly, this option, this issue gives the current government a bit of a chance to brandish its environmental credentials, to sort of come out and say, look, we have some serious concerns about this. We want to prevent a pipeline to the northern coast. We want to keep a tanker ban in place. So these are all sort of points around which the current government can rally. But one of the key answers, or one of the key unanswered questions here, is who's going to be the next Conservative leader, and what happens after the Conservatives have chosen a new leader. As you mentioned, the government is the current government is facing some pretty dismal poll numbers. The Premier himself is facing some pretty dismal poll numbers. As I suggest, this could be an issue for him to sort of rally around. The one concern that I see in all of this is the federal NDP. This is an opening for the federal NDP. to make some political hay. The federal NDP has a history in BC. Some of the Liberal seats, the federal Liberal seats in BC, are tenuous. I'll put it that way. So there may be there may be some interest in the provincial NDP to come around and sort of echo some of the harsher language of the federal counterparts on this pipeline.
It's an issue that'll be interesting to watch. We got to let it go though because we're out of time. But Wolfgang Deppner, Canadian Press, much appreciated. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on again. Much pleasure.
Sorry to rush, but we're out of time. So we'll see you again tomorrow, everybody. Have a wonderful day.